Good evening, everybody. I will call to order the Arvada City Council meeting for tonight, October 7th, 2024. I'm going to ask Mayor Pro Tem Moorman for a reflection and pledge of allegiance.
Thank you, Mayor. Before we go into silent reflection, I just want to say a few words about the civic engagement we are seeing tonight. I'm really impressed, and it's great to see everyone here to come and share their viewpoints on some important issues. And so I want to share in that vein the definition of civility that comes from the Institute for Civility, which I think is very important when we think about civic engagement. One of those, I think, cornerstones of being involved in civic engagement is civility. So that definition is: civility is claiming and caring for one's identity, needs, and beliefs without degrading someone else's in the process. So I hope that we can continue to abide by that tonight. And with that, please join me in a moment of silence. And please rise now and join in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much, Mayor Pro Tem Moorman. Ms. Rush, if you'll do the roll call. Here.
Here.
Here. Here.
Here. Here.
Councilmember Foray.
I'd like to make the motion to excuse Councilmember Ambrose.
Thank you. If all council members will vote. Thank you. All votes are cast. That passes 6-0. Councilmember Foray, thank you, Councilmember Foray. Councilmember Ambrose is an excused absence this evening. All right. Next, we are going to move the agenda a little bit. We were not able to host our standard 5 p.m. notice meeting because there were more members of the public that wanted to attend than there were chairs. So the primary item we have for that 5 p.m. was to discuss an upcoming timeline presented by Councilmember Foray. So we're going to move council comments to the top of this evening's agenda so that we can go ahead and have that discussion here with all of you. So Councilmember Foray.
Yes, thank you. So one of the things that I wanted us to discuss in a more intimate setting, but I think it's also helpful to do this, is a timeline of what we can do in terms of just engaging the community around the Navigation Center. So one of the things that I hear loud and clear is that the community wants to be heard. And so I would like for us to pick some dates that we can move forward with smaller community meetings and a larger community meeting. So people that couldn't come today, at least there's some timeline that we can at least give them to plan ahead for. So what I was hoping we could do is, at the very least, schedule a meeting in December that is larger, that we could have breakout groups where people could talk in a more intimate setting. Each council could lead it. At least having that on the books just to get something going. That's one of my ideas. And then just sometime maybe in November having some breakout groups as well, smaller neighborhood groups that are more intimate and engaged to hear what the concerns are and if they can be addressed or what. So more of like a listening meeting session rather than a presentation on what we're thinking. Mm-hmm. So welcome council comments. I just think it's important that we at least have something moving forward. So a lot of emails I've been getting are asking, when's the next meeting? What are we doing? I have a lot of questions. And so I really hope that we can get some kind of date on the book so we can tell people, we're working on this, but here's at least one date that you can put on the books.
Yeah. Councilmember Pfeiffer.
And I agree with you, absolutely. We need to have a date certain, but I also think we got ahead of our ski tips a little bit on this subject. I think that there still needs to be some education and maybe some baselining with the public as well on what could be applied there. I don't think anything's been sold yet on what this could or should look like. What I would say is I would be interested in addition to your idea, not only that engagement, I think that like we did in our capital investment projects, we solicited a large group of steering committee members to drive our plan forward. I think we should consider what that can look like. That's usually, if people are not familiar with what I'm thinking of, it's about 25 community members, 5 maybe, and I'm just spitballing, you're welcome into the living room, so we're just all talking around the TV set right now. But I was thinking maybe 5 members within a quarter mile, half mile of the facility, maybe 5 community members at large, maybe 5 businesses within the area, 5 nonprofits, and maybe 5 government folks. So that could be elected officials or Jefferson County or Adams County or somebody, just so that there's a balanced committee that steers this conversation. Because I think one of the things is I don't think, in my opinion, I don't think we've done a good job in identifying what the why and the ask and what we're trying to achieve. And if we put a steering committee together that's of diverse community members, it will give our staff and our community an opportunity to baseline that conversation and then be able to build upon that and then help steer where we should go from there. Because I can tell you all here, which is great to see all of you in the green shirts and everything else, but we don't know what we're arguing about yet. That's the thing, is we haven't decided, at least I'm speaking for myself, but I don't know if we've all decided what that can look like. And I think out of fairness, we need the community to help drive that conversation with us, because we don't know what services. We know what the desire is, but we don't necessarily know how to get there that is acceptable by the committee or the community. So my proposal is to try to formulate some sort of community engagement that helps drive and steer this conversation. And let me give you an idea what the CIP did. The first meeting maybe is a 4-hour meeting, and the police will come in and talk about statistics and what the issue is. The next time it might be Parks Department, it might be Human Services, it might be housing, and just describe what the issue is that we've been dealing with for years and years and years. And then at the end of the, I don't know what it is, 8 meetings, 12 meetings, 15 meetings, whatever it is, then that committee creates a plan for us to work off of. CIP has done that, and I think there's a few folks that were on that CIP group. But to this day, correct me if I'm wrong, Linda, but I believe we still kind of work off that CIP of our major projects. And that was like 25 projects, and we're still checking that list. I think that this subject is so engaging right now that it doesn't hurt us to have a same roadmap to describe how do we address those that are unhoused or about to be unhoused, and how can we maximize this property we may have. And maybe it doesn't reside there, maybe that it's a different discussion, but until we have these community engagements in this committee to help shape that conversation, I don't know where it goes. But I also agree that we have to do smaller meetings as well as individual council members or something else, but it's like we're kind of need to take a few steps back to move a few steps forward on this conversation. So that's just my thoughts tonight.
Yep. Councilmember Davis, you are next.
Thank you, and it is wonderful to see all you folks here engaged in this public process. I'm going to be glaringly honest. I had no idea that this was going to take this direction because I did not have the history of what happened in 2020, because I just got on council in 2023. Had I had some of the history of why we wanted this to be a navigation center and the things that were agreed to in 2020 by that council, then I could have made a more informed and educated decision on steps moving forward. So my thought process is, if I don't understand, why would I assume that the community understands? So I think outreach and education is, it's very, very important. When I voted on this, I voted to buy a building. I didn't know what the building was going to be used for, and so I have to say that I've just been struggling with this process. Mm-hmm. And I did express that frustration to the mayor. So as we move forward and we have these smaller breakout groups, I too will be learning with you and educating myself on these issues, because I think it's very important. I like the Citizen CIP idea, mostly because I participated, almost 20 years ago. And it was so much fun. And it was It was very effective in showing the city what the community thought was important. We also ranked them, we prioritized them for the city, so they could plan and make 10-year planning and make those thoughts, make those thoughts actually come to fruition, so we'd get more parks, more sidewalks, better streets, those types of things. I'm an infrastructure girl, and so I really was excited to know that our monies were going to things that you don't see, like water, wastewater, and stormwater. And those are things that sometimes can go neglected because you don't see them. So I am very excited about the CIP process, if that's how we want to do that. But I do agree with Councilmember Ferre, we need to pick a date to start so that you can plan path forward as well. So thank you, Councilmember Ferre, for moving the needle on this.
Mayor Pro Tem Mormon.
Thank you, and I won't spend too much time on this because I want to say I agree with the comments that have been made by fellow council members thus far. I do believe we need to have a timeline. I think we need to be very intentional about our engagement process, and so, and I think that's what needs to come next. And Councilmember Pfeiffer, I've been talking about a task force. You talk about CIP. I think they align in the same kind of concept, and so that's. I think we definitely share that line of thinking, and so that's. I feel like that is something that needs to happen, very soon, and get that process started, so that we can fully engage the community in all sectors of the community, the neighborhood, as well as all those that are actively involved in this conversation that is a challenge for our community. That our community surveys have said this is one of the top challenges that we need to be addressing as a community, and so I think it's important that we put forward a really great effort that involves our community to address those challenges. And so I am in full support of that. And I think, appreciate Councilmember Ferre with coming up with this draft timeline. I would just suggest that we may need to be a little more flexible and not have it happen, by December. I don't think that's realistic in order for us to get the full engagement process that we need. So I think we need to set a little more timeline out, but I do think we need to set a timeline.
So if I may there, Mayor Pro Tem Mormon, and this comes back to the intentionality of words that we always have to work with. Councilmember Ferre, and correct me at any point I'm wrong here. For reference, everybody, every week, every Monday, the city manager and the mayor have a breakfast with a rotating council member. That happens every week, and this morning just happened to be Councilmember Ferre's morning. So we talked about this timeline she had brought to us over the weekend, and she had, looks like we were using similar terms for or different terms for fundamentally the same idea. That in December, it could be more of instead of back on the stage with slides and presenting something, which I don't believe we will have ready for you by December. Rather, the idea is that we can have, all city invited in. We need to do those smaller neighborhood group meetings, as soon as possible and going onward, but also the ability to have that larger community conversation with all residents being able to be invited in. And how does that look? So a date in December to be able to maybe do, and this is for discussion, something for tours of the ECA building with small group breakouts with different council members being willing to host, as well as subject experts, et cetera, et cetera. And perhaps that's where we start to identify folks for CIP if that's something we want to do.
Yes, that's kind of what I'm going for. So the idea is that part of our plan that we discuss, it's a draft, a housing strategy. There's tons of things that we need to do to fix housing and homelessness in the community. One of them was explored was a navigation center. So if we were to have a larger meeting at one location, and we have breakout rooms of 6 or 8 or 5 to discuss what are the concerns around the navigation center, what are the barriers, what do they want to see as a community, and having those listening conversations in December, that could help formulate some of the concerns that maybe we could address around a navigation center, and maybe pull some leaders from those conversations to be part of that CIP model plan. But yes, that's the idea, is that let's get something at least on the books, because they want to be heard and they want to address the concerns. We can do it in smaller breakouts at one location so everyone can go there and all fit in a building. So I would like support in at least moving forward on that.
Councilmember Marriott.
So I think we're way ahead, premature on this idea of this. I think, the process by which we accomplish things is we generally identify a problem or a need, and then we develop some goals of how we're going to affect this problem, and then we explore options by how we can achieve those goals, and then we get the tools and the resources we need to satisfy, to take action towards these goals. And I view us right now as in a position of we haven't done any of that. All we've done is kind of jump the gun, and we have a tool that now we want to implement. And I think if you're talking about wanting to have meetings with the community, the meetings with the community need to be about what's the problem and defining carefully that problem, not just the point in time count or the this or that, and then talking about, for lack of a better term, market feasibility or market studies. Is there a shortage of this or that? Is that why there's this problem? Is this the thing that actually solves the problem? And then you move forward and you set some goals about here's what we would like to achieve. Here's our strategy for achieving that, and then here's the tools we're going to use. And so, to me, unless unless what's really on the table is, unless the possibility exists that you don't use the ECA building at all, I think these meetings just turn into a tell us what you think and we'll tell you why you're wrong. And I don't see that as productive at all. And I think we're on the wrong track. We're way ahead of ourselves. I think Bob mentioned it. Up to now, we've been way ahead of ourselves here. And I don't think rushing into some public meeting in December fixes that at all. I don't think that improves the situation one bit. So I would be opposed to that.
No, I'm sorry. Can I go?
Absolutely. Go ahead, Councilmember Frey.
Yeah, John, or Mr. Marriott, I agree with you. I don't think we should rush into it. The only thing I would say is we just need to have at least some sense of timing. Maybe December's too quick, maybe November's too quick. But I think the narrative, if you're feeling that that's the narrative, I think then the narrative needs to change is we have a problem, how do we help solve it? And then we might have this tool that may or may not exist, the early college of Arvada, that building, that we may or may not use. I mean, at the end of the day, we haven't determined that, even though I think we're implying that up here. So, I think my thought is I'd really like to advocate getting the community more engaged and then in a structured, I know it's a lot to ask for the team, the staff to do this, but it might take that time of really baselining for those that want to be educated, like Councilmember Davis and so forth, and is to sit through hours of meetings of baselining the problem and then help defining it, like John's saying, is what are we trying to solve for? We know we have a homeless issue in our city and in the northern part of Jefferson County. And in my eyes, there's two sets. There's the invisible and the visible homeless. And the invisible are those that are truly, genuinely trying to work and being productive citizens and are trying to, they're a little afraid to express their troubles they're having. And they're the ones I worry about the most because they're the ones that will not ask for help. And then we have this visible one that we all see that are usually a criminal element. They're playing out just criminals. And I feel like we need to do something for those that are about to be unhoused, or those that, or those families that are struggling. They might have 2 jobs, live in the car, have 2 kids. We've got to do something. They do exist in our community, and I don't. When I was on the food bank board, I never believe in a hand out. I believe in a hand up. So, if you kind of keep that in the context of where my mind is. I'm not looking for a shelter. Let me be very clear. I am not looking for a shelter at all, because I probably agree with 99% of you in the crowd. But those have been a problem, and you working for Denver, Ms. Davis, you understand that. But what I do expect, just like the community table, is the ability to provide services to individuals to just get them over that line or get them that one more month they need to avoid being unhoused. knowing that that might be the potential goal. But I think what we need to do is going back to the steering committee and educate all the baseline facts of where our society is in northern Jefferson County right now and this part of the community, and let the steering committee help shape our path forward. We can sit here all day long and try to spitball this idea, and I will guarantee you we will get it wrong. And so I think the best thing to do is solicit from the community on what and how we should move forward. And I know there's some people chomping at the bit to engage in this living room conversation. So if you're going to stay and have this communication, if you're okay, Mayor, if there's public comment coming, maybe you can throw in a quick nugget of what you would prefer, if you can throw in a quick nugget of your engagement. What would you see as the engagement? If you know the framework I'm trying to work within, to maybe, and make sure we have a cross-representation of everybody mixed in there. But if you can throw a nugget in your, I don't know how many minutes we're giving everybody, but that would be awesome, because that will help us shape what the next step could look like. And maybe Councilmember Frey, what we could do is by X date, we have that committee formed, announced, and we vote these people in like a committee, official committee by the city council to be our advisors, to be appointed to us, and make them as an advisory committee to us by that day, and then to respect the holidays, maybe start after the holidays. But that would be the timelines, kind of mixing in the short views, because at that time we can have some smaller maybe conversations. But right now it's fruitless for us to have the conversations with the community, and it's fruitless for the community to engage with us when we don't know what we're arguing about. Just like John said, we're ahead of our ski tips, and that's actually, no pun intended, John Marriott owning a ski shop. But we are definitely ahead of our ski tips in my eyes. So would that be all right, Mayor, if people came up and said, hey, I liked that idea, but I would do this?
Yeah.
If you wanted to throw that out there, that would be awesome. Constructive feedback for us.
Well, absolutely. I will note, public comment is your time. You're literally allowed to say anything you want to us. So
Okay.
I would absolutely say, if you are interested in joining that, or if you have a different idea, to please include it in your comments. Based off the number I have, I believe everybody will get their full 3 minutes tonight. So, Councilmember Davis.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Mr. Marriott. Mr. Pfeiffer, you said exactly what I was thinking. We do have people who are on the bubble and they're on the fray. And those are the people that will take advantage of a navigation center. Now let's talk about the other side of the coin. The people that we see in Old Town, the people that are at the transit hub, will this navigation center help them? Because those are folks that don't want help. They get on the train and they ride into the G line, and or when it was the 55X and the 52 and whatever, they get on the bus and they go to Civic Center Park. They get their sandwich and their meal, enjoy the Civic Center Park, which is why Denver Parks had to put up all these fences, and then they'd ride the 55X, 52, now the G line. Don't blame it on the G line, folks. Back to Arvada, because they know that we haven't moved the needle. And so I'm hoping that somehow with this navigation center and some other tools that we can move that needle, because right now our businesses in Old Town are suffering. And we need to figure out how, in addressing the homeless or almost unhoused with the unhoused, that truly that's where they want to live, is in our parks and under our bridges. We have to make it somehow, I don't want to say the word uncomfortable. We have to make it a challenge to be in Old Town Arvada and to be at the transit hub. And one of the things I was thinking was, let's just de-energize all those electrical receptacles on the hub, because that's where they congregate to charge their devices. There are some small things that we can do to make it untenable to want to be in Arvada. So we have the public, we have our businesses, and we have these folks too that we need to address and keep them in our mind's eye.
Thank you. So I will note kind of what I'm hearing here, and I'll push back gently on Councilmember Marriott's points, that we don't know what we're doing. Respectfully, we have the data. We have the data. We've been looking at it for years. As Councilmember Davis correctly noted, this goes back 4 years now, and we've had numbers of workshops on this particular issue. We have discussed this at length as council over and over. And that's what brought us here to this public engagement point. And I do think, a bit ahead of our ski tips, you're absolutely correct about that, Councilmember Pfeiffer, because we now need to do this more fulsome process, and we kind of have these standard plans that we do, but we heard loud and clear from all of you that standard plans aren't going to cut it. And so that is why we have pulled back and said, okay, whoa, let's create this much more intentional listening process to really define things. It doesn't mean we don't have data. It means that, okay, now we need to do a much more intentional work with all of you to really shape what it is we're looking at, what is the goal in this community, what is the problem we're solving for. And that's, I love the idea of capital. I know it's going to be, I'm sorry, team, I know it's a bit of a pain in the butt, and it is about looking very comprehensively at it. I want to be clear, I'm speaking for myself, but I believe I speak for the others up here, that we do not envision this as being this solves everything. It is whatever this is, whatever is ultimately done. It solves for one thing, and there are so many other things that happen in other places. It's about, I believe I said it in an email recently, it's about an ecosystem and trying to build sort of these systemic things as opposed to thinking one magic thing cures it all, because it really, really doesn't. And so it's about working with all of you to figure out what it is that this piece does. Mayor Pro Tem Mormon, you're next.
Oh, thank you, Mayor. I guess I would like to I guess we're not formally making a motion on this, but to say that based on the conversation and based on talking about timelines, to actually request that we move forward with setting a date to set up this CIP-like task force, however we want to call it, and we'll need some help from staff on how we want to approach that. But I would like to at least say, basing that we need to, really be transparent with the public about the next step in the process. So I would like to request that we say, I think Councilmember Pfeiffer, you had suggested by December we at least have that seated, ready to go, so they can start work in the new year. So I would like to second that idea and see if we can get that going.
Councilmember Marriott, your light was on next.
So I want to push back on you, Mayor, a little bit about saying we have the data. Sure, we have pieces of data saying that there's this many homeless people, and they may take this form or they may take that form. But, in my whole time up here on council, which has been now 11 years, I've yet to see what you might think of as a market study of, does that person who is either homeless or soon to be homeless or eminently homeless, is there a lack of services available to them in the region? I think, just assuming and saying, well, they've got to have them available here is not, in my mind, the right answer to the problem. So I think we're way ahead of ourselves so far with data. We don't have the data. We do not. We don't have a plan, and we don't have goals, and we certainly haven't developed a way to achieve the goals, followed by what tools we might need to achieve those goals. So I disagree with you completely on your assessment of that. The idea of seating an interest group or a committee to talk about this, I think, I'm ambivalent to that, but I think that, as my colleague Don Allard used to say, the devil's in the details. That, if you seat a group of advocates for a certain solution, they're going to come up with the solution that they advocate for. And I don't think that helps anybody here. So I would be very, very careful about that. I think these are council functions, and the council ought to be taking this on, and the council just needs to back up, start with, we've made some progress with it, but we haven't done all the steps yet and gotten anywhere near to where we're trying to be. And I don't think try to make that happen quicker by quickly picking some people and putting them together and saying, okay, now direct us on what to do. I don't think that helps anything a bit.
Okay. Councilmember Pfeiffer.
Oh, that's a valid point too. I mean, maybe part of the public comments come back to say, would you rather us seat something sooner or later? I mean, at the end of the day, we should know. I'm not in a hurry, but I do want to be thoughtful through the process. We do have issues within our city that need to be addressed. I don't want it to drag on for years because, as you might remember, Lake Arbor, the plot of land out there, and how long we've sat out there saying, well, it might be this, it might not be this, we may do a park, we might not do a park. I don't want this to be that same subject of, hey, I have this building, and meanwhile, folks in the crowd, you don't know what day and when we might do something, and then next thing you know, it's like, oh crap, this is now a shelter that I was against, but I'm off council now. And no one knows about it. So I don't want it to go a whole year. We need to put a nail in the coffin because we land banked this building, which, shoot, it could be anything. I mean, I know police needs evidence, and I know police needs another place. Maybe that's a better location. I'm not saying that we should distract, but that could be something. But I don't know what it could be until we go through a thoughtful, engaging process. And I think the more we educate those that are engaged, and Mr. Marriott, you were spot on with, we don't want to create a special interest group. We need to create a diverse breadth of engaged stakeholders that are for and against, that are directly impacted, indirectly impacted, business, residents, nonprofits. I think you need to have that cross-section of a thoughtful engagement, because whatever product comes out of that advisory committee is executable by us, that we can say, look, we engage, we feel comfortable. And this could, just so everyone understands, this type of process I'm referring to could take a year and a half. It could be a long engagement. It's not overnight, we get it done in 2 months and we walk away and everyone high fives and leaves. That's not what type of committee I'm looking for. I'm talking you're going to commit every other Wednesday for 3 to 4 hours sitting in a room over here while we educate, like we get educated, you would get educated on the same topic as we would. And then you would advise us on it. That's what I'm seeing to happen, because we don't know what we don't know. You don't know what you don't know. And the best way to do it is let's baseline it and move forward. And maybe you're right, Mr. Marriott, it's too soon to put a committee together that fast, but I would like to walk away with an idea of a framework that we can somewhat get an idea. I think 25 is a good number. That was the number. I think the CIP was 2025. I'd like an odd number, just if there's a vote that ever takes place, at least it's an odd number. But if they're unanimous, it would be awesome, because then we know what we're going to do forward with this thing. And maybe the committee comes back and says, okay, it doesn't quite fit there. We do need it. We do need this. We as a community agree, but it's going to look like this, or it's going to shape like this, or it's going to be here, or what do we need to do? And that might help give us the spotlight we need forward. So that would be my thought. And I know, Lisa, you want to jump in and you want it sooner. But I also learned, since I've been in government, it's better to sometimes go a little bit slower and walk slower with our community, so that we all walk through together. But I also do not want it to prolong so long. And I think this is where Councilmember Frey's concern is we forget. And that, 2 years later, some of us are gone, then we're having a bigger problem. So I don't think we can come out of here exactly what it can look like, but I don't want to walk away from this conversation just with a decision yet. I'd rather hear a little bit from the community, and then maybe at the end of the night we can kind of give an idea and give direction, or let us sit on it for a week or two and then give some direction to the team. And then I'd like to get feedback from the team on, like, what kind of lift is this? You need to kind of tell us what is not going to get done. Remember, we're trying to get better at asking. What's not going to get done, how much impact to your staff would be. Those things are important. So that kind of if there's stuff in the hopper now, it might draw it out even further that we might have to get done first before we get to this. So if you can help us with that by the end of the night, and not an answer, but
Okay.
we'll give you direction by the end of the night.
Okay, great. I do know we need to move along. We do have hearings, so we need to go ahead and encourage, and obviously, all these folks want to talk to us. But I tend to agree, and in your comments, please do, if you would be interested, either being a part of that, as he noted, it is significant time commitments, and you have to be fully embraced for that. Let us know. And then also, to Councilmember Ferre's points, we've discussed that we want to get these small group meetings, particularly with those of you in the very nice dark green Arlington Meadows shirts. One of my requests is if you are willing to open your home to host a small group, we're trying to hopefully do a little bit block by block so we can keep it focused on the needs of that particular block because, if you're at 64th, it's very different than being across the street, and we want to make sure we can focus that conversation on your unique needs. So if you're willing to open your home just to have these sort of listening tour sessions where we can start this process of sharing what we know with you, but at the same time also hearing from you, please also just raise your hand right there at the end and be like, I'd be willing to, and no pressure. If you're not comfortable doing that, definitely you don't have to. So thank you. So I'm going to go ahead. Council, do we feel good about where this landed? And there will be more to come. I will say this, I do apologize that we can't just be like, okay, it's December 11th at 2 p.m. I apologize we're not able to do that. A lot of times in government, what you do is you hear, you refine, you take the next step. You hear, you refine, you take the next step. You don't have this sort of definitive, action, we're going to do exactly all these things because very accurately to other council members' points, that is when you wind up into trouble because you need to be able to adjust as you hear things and learn accordingly. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and close. Go ahead, Councilmember Fire. Oh, Council, we're good? All right. I will close council member comments. Actually, Councilmember Davis, did you have one you wanted? No. All right, let's move forward. All right. So I will close council member comments, and I will move to the approval of the minutes for September 9th and September 16th, 2024. Any council corrections, edits? Seeing none, those stand approved. Next, we have recognitions and communications. So our first is Mayor Pro Tem Moorman, a proclamation for Disability Awareness Month.
Thank you, Mayor. I am very pleased to make this proclamation presentation tonight, October 2024, as National Disability Awareness Month. Tonight with us, we have Arvada resident Chris Werhan, and he is with Adaptive Adventures. I know some folks are here with Adaptive Adventures. So Chris will be accepting the proclamation. I just wanted to say a little bit about Chris. He has worked with people with disabilities for more than 35 years, first beginning his career working for the Special Olympics with his mother during the 1970s. He now works as the sports lead for Adaptive Adventures and leads sports activities and events for people with disabilities across Colorado and the country. And last year, he was inducted into the National Adaptive Sports Hall of Fame for his influential role as a skier and instructor. This year, Chris and other leaders in the disability community were invited to the White House. And Chris has worked to make lasting impacts on national groups like the Boy Scouts and veterans, working with VA medical centers to increase accessibility for all. And Chris is also a retired firefighter. All right, here is the proclamation. Whereas recognition of the contributions of persons with disabilities is an effective way to overcome negative stereotypes and eliminate physical and social barriers to full participation in all aspects of community life, including education, recreation, and employment. And whereas people with disabilities are an important, vital part of our community as valued workers, civic leaders, business owners, veterans, family members, and friends, and they are innovative and valued contributors in the workplace, the classroom, and the community. And whereas the City of Arvada is committed to ensuring that city programs and employment practices effectively serve and benefit persons of all abilities in order to support individual dignity, equity, and opportunities for all people. And whereas Arvada is proud to share its dedication to fostering equal access and demonstrating commitment to full inclusion of people with disabilities. Whereas Arvada residents like Chris Werhan are leading organizations like Adaptive Adventures in creating accessible sporting opportunities for those with disabilities in Colorado and across the community. Now, therefore, be it proclaimed by the Mayor and City Council of the City of Arvada, Colorado, that the month of October 2024 be designated as National Disability Awareness Month in Arvada, and encourage all community members to recognize the accomplishments and contributions of persons with disabilities throughout Arvada and the world. Dated this 7th day of October 2024. Chris, could you please come down, and you're welcome to bring other folks down with you.
Absolutely. Welcome, Chris. Thank you. If you'd like to say a few words, please.
First and foremost, I'd like to thank the City of Arvada and the Council for this recognition. It certainly is not done by myself. We have an exceptional team. I've always had an exceptional team, no matter where I've been. I spent about 20 years in Santa Fe, New Mexico, where I was a volunteer firefighter on top of my role with an organization there. I learned a lot. I always tried to lead by example. And that means getting in the thick of things and making things work and happen. I've been blessed with everything that I've been able to do and accomplish. But it's always been a team effort, and I never started out doing this for any recognition or working for an organization that needed that. But the strides that we have made in the past 35 years that I've been doing this are just incredible, from the equipment to just the knowledge, and to now seeing folks in wheelchairs and of other disabilities and of color in national media ads and campaigns, normally on the TV, is just unbelievable. Colorado is a great place to get people involved and do what we do. It's never really been a job because, I mean, I get to take people skiing. I try not to get them over their tips, but we teach them how to ski and kayak and climb and do all the cool things that Colorado has, and it's just incredibly to be blessed to be able to do that. And so thank you for this, and thank my partners at Adaptive Adventures and my work folks for this, and thank you very much.
Thank you very much. All right. Next is Councilmember Davis with a proclamation for National Manufacturing Month.
Thank you, Mayor. I'm very pleased to present this proclamation. Whereas manufacturing is a key contributor to the economic prosperity of our community, the state of Colorado, and the nation, providing good-paying jobs and fostering innovation, competitiveness, and whereas the manufacturing industry in Arvada supports a broad array of sectors, including aerospace, technology, food production, renewable energy, and advanced materials, contributing to the well-being and growth of the local economy. And whereas Arvada is home to 124 manufacturing firms, which provide 2,636 highly skilled, well-paying jobs, which significantly contribute to Arvada's economic vitality. And whereas National Manufacturing Month is an opportunity to highlight the role of manufacturers in maintaining and expanding our nature's supply chains and enhancing our economic security and resilience. And whereas this month provides a platform to encourage students, educators, and the workforce to explore careers in manufacturing, promote the importance of workforce development and training for the future success of the industry. And whereas Arvada is committed to supporting manufacturing initiatives and partnerships that foster innovation, collaboration, and sustainability, ensuring that our local manufacturing sector continues to thrive and adapt to the challenges of the 21st century. And whereas during National Manufacturing Month, we celebrate the achievements of manufacturers in our city and honor their contributions to the local economy, workforce, and community. Now, therefore, be it proclaimed by the Mayor and City Council of the City of Arvada, Colorado, on the month of October 24th, be designated as National Manufacturing Month in Arvada, and encourage all residents to recognize the importance of manufacturing in our local economy and to support efforts that promote innovation, workforce development, and the growth of manufacturing industries. dated this 7th day of October, 2024. And Isa
Thank you.
Let's bring in some partners up, too.
Absolutely. Hi. Come on up, be in the photo. The shorties have to be in the front.
Hide the belly.
Straight on, always straight on.
All right, well, I just want to thank council and our distinguished guests here, our partners and our community members. I'm really excited for this to be the first time that we're recognizing Manufacturing Month for the month of October, so really appreciate that. It's a time to recognize and honor the vital role that manufacturing plays in our community and our city and our daily lives. From our local artisans to our beer brewing manufacturers, whiskey distillations, we have medical devices that save people's lives that are made here in Arvada, and of course our aerospace defense. I look at manufacturing as more than just a sector. It's the backbone of innovation, providing jobs and driving our economic growth. Our local manufacturers not only produce our goods that we rely on, but they also embody the spirit of craftsmanship and ingenuity that helps define this community. So I want to thank again all of our partners that are here. We have Manufacturers Edge, which is our state extension partnership, and we'll be presenting here shortly on an update of our programming, as well as the Jefferson County Workforce Center, the Arvada Chamber, and all of our manufacturing businesses. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Petrikowska. All right, don't go anywhere. You have the next item, Ms. Petrikowska.
Thank you. Well, thank you all. We'll make this brief. I know we have a long agenda tonight, so my name is Isa Petrikowska. I'm Executive Director to Arvada Economic Development Association and also the Economic Development Manager for the City of Arvada, and I'd like to welcome my partners here to provide an update for the Arvada Manufacturing Initiative on behalf of Manufacturers Edge and AIDA. So I'll let you all introduce yourselves.
Perfect. Do you want to hop into the presentation? Might as well. Okay. There we go. All right. My name is Glenn Plagans. I'm the CEO of Manufacturers Edge. Thanks for having us here, and thanks for the support that this community gives the manufacturers and Manufacturers Edge. Next slide. Okay, perfect. Just to explain a little bit, Manufacturers Edge is part of what is called the Manufacturing Extension Partnership that sits under the Department of Commerce and NIST. That really gives us the breadth to really take care of our manufacturers in this community by leveraging our resources throughout the entire country. There are 51 Manufacturers Extension Partnership programs in the United States, so that really helps us dig deep for the manufacturers and the manufacturers in this community. And just a little bit about, you can read our vision, mission, and value proposition, but what I really like to key in as the mission is to grow and strengthen the Colorado manufacturers that become globally competitive. As Isa indicated, there's a lot of really neat, cool manufacturers in this community, and they have a global reach. And it's really important that we bring these resources, and this community is on the cutting edge for the state when it comes to that and leveraging resources like ours.
Good evening, Council. My name is Rob Newbold. I'm the Vice President of Client Success for Manufacturers Edge. I get the pleasure of both working directly with manufacturers and with our service delivery staff. And so what you see here are many of the types of services that we can provide and do provide for manufacturers all across Arvada and across the state. These are also programs that we coordinate very closely with our other centers in other states, learning best practices so that we can bring those here to Colorado as well. So you'll see everything from business growth services to cutting-edge technology to increasing workforce and addressing supply chain problems, understanding the risks of cybersecurity and helping companies to do a better job of protecting data that is of a national security variety. And so with all of that, we are very excited about the opportunities to continue to work with manufacturers. many of you may know, since 2014, both AIDA and Manufacturers Edge have cooperated on a program called the Arvada Manufacturing Initiative. Partially funded through your work, and we really appreciate that. But it gives critical consulting around these services that I just showed to manufacturers that may not be able to afford these programs or be able to access these programs in other situations. So through your support, we're able to work collaboratively to ensure that operational efficiency for companies of under 20 employees typically can get those operational efficiency activities. We help them with strategic planning. We help them with planning their future growth, understanding what opportunities there are for expanding and retaining jobs here in Arvada, and then driving new investment. And all of that leads to the retention of those manufacturers here in the community.
Thank you, and I'll just wrap up with some of our results from over the last year. So since we incepted this program in 2014, we have had 15 companies utilize these grant funds, and as Rob mentioned, these are grant funds that were awarded to us through City Council and designated to us by our Board of Directors on how we utilize those funds. We have had 2 companies in the last year utilize this program, and then we have 2 companies that have used this grant funds more than twice. So as you can see here through the numbers, we have increased sales through this program with our manufacturing partners by $2.5 million, retained $2.2 million in sales, with a total cost savings of $1.2 million and a total investment impact of $3.8, almost $4 million. So through this grant program, we have impacted a total of $9.8 million back into our manufacturers and have been able to retain or build new jobs at 64 new jobs. So lastly, we wanted to talk a little bit about the future of this program. I know we come to council every few years to request funds, so this is really an update on how those funds are being utilized. We had our AIDA board approve an additional $50,500 this year to expand that program. We have also seen a county and statewide interest in using this program as a model for implementing into Colorado as a whole. I'm very proud to announce that we are up for a Community Partner Award through Jeffco EDC this month, so very excited to see where that goes and building and expanding this program in the future. I think through our retention visits and our collaborative engagement with my team and with ME, we're seeing a higher need from our manufacturers for requests for resources and support for the future. We are also working on engaging our residents and educating them on, what's in their backyard, what are local jobs that they could be looking at and investing in. And we had a really successful first Taste and Talk series through the Community and Economic Development Department with our director, Jessica Garner, just last week. And we had residents engage with a business panel of manufacturers, small business owners. And it was really exciting and really engaging to see our residents show up and be interested in, what our jobs are. I will say we have increased our numbers a little bit, so I apologize, Councilmember Davis, but now we have over 140 manufacturers since we wrote that, so very exciting to get those updated data with over 2,800 skilled workforce, both locally and throughout the region. So thank you again for your investment in our AIDA grant funds, and appreciate working and collaborating in the future.
Thank you very much. We appreciate you and all that you do for our community. All right. Now the moment everybody's here been waiting for, public comment for items not scheduled on the agenda. So if you are here to provide public comment on one of the items that is on this evening's agenda, then we will ask you to please hold it for when we have that item, with the notable exception of consent agenda, which of course does not have the ability to provide public comment, and so you would give that at this time as well. I believe we have 42 individuals signed up for public comment. comment, as well as a few on Zoom. So in order to be able to get to this evening's agenda, which is significant, what we will be doing is dedicating 1 hour to public comment. We're going to go with Zoom first, and then we will be holding the rest of public comment for the end of the agenda. Everyone will get to go, but this is so that we can go ahead and move through the business items that need to be taken care of. But we are here, we're listening to you. So I'm going to go ahead and start with our Zoom folks this evening.
Mayor, can I,
Yes.
I'm sorry, can I
Please.
ask why we're starting with Zoom?
The reason why is because we actually made this decision upstairs when we thought there'd be a lot more folks, but generally speaking, we have 7 on Zoom, and we wanted to make sure they got in that first hour.
Okay.
So, because we don't know when exactly the timing, so we couldn't be able to tell them to come back
Okay.
and be like, come back at this time. We don't
Okay.
know what that time would be.
Okay, thank you, Mayor.
So with that, and then one other thing I will note during public comment, we have certain guidelines. One, please keep all your comments directed to us. Please do not, provide public comment to other folks who may be in chambers. We do request that you keep things civil. Obviously, your comments are yours. That is just a request. We also note that when we have a lot of folks, one of the ways we get through these very, very quickly is to say ditto. Believe it or not, this council, we've done this lots before. We accept ditto as a full testimony. That's not to suppress. That's not to say you shouldn't take your 3 minutes if you want it. But some folks just want to come up and say, actually, I agree with that person, so ditto. We've had it happen. Other folks say what you don't have to do it. I promise you can take your full 3 minutes. You take them. I'm just letting you know that is an option. This council understands it to be the exact same as providing a fulsome 3 minutes. So with that, we're going to go ahead and open it up on Zoom. And I see Kevin. Welcome, Kevin. You have 3 minutes. And please state full name and address for the public record. Oh, it's not. Oh, here we go. It's Chris. Okay, it's Chris. Chris. Hello, welcome, and please share full name and address for the record, Chris. Chris, are you there?
Hello, good evening, Council. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. Please go ahead.
Hi there. My name is Christopher Allred. I work with Rocky Mountain Peace and Justice Center at 3970 Broadway, Suite B5, Boulder, Colorado. And I am commenting here tonight to follow up from August. I made a comment in August regarding Rocky Flats, and I also wanted to thank Mayor Pro Tem Moorman for all of his good work with the community, working on the Rocky Flats Stewardship Council, and really hearing the concerns from the community about Rocky Flats. So tonight I'm here to ask that the council please withdraw from the Rocky Mountain Greenway. And this is following up on a recent decision in Westminster City Council. On September 23rd, Westminster City Council voted 4-3 to withdraw from the Rocky Mountain Greenway and not pay further money into the project. So I would like to ask that Arvada please join in solidarity with Broomfield, Westminster, Town of Superior, and citizens around the region who are bringing attention to the public health risks of developing and recreating at Rocky Flats. This was a very strong decision by Westminster, and I commend the courage of the leaders in Westminster for making this decision. I would like to share with you some of the quotes that the Westminster City Council had made. And let me see if I can bring those up real quick here. I won't have time to read all the quotes, so I will follow up with you on email. But Councillor Carmelia said, "This is a case of unusual paramount and involves the health and safety of our community. I cannot undo what previous decision makers have done. I can, however, make a stand for what is so clearly the right thing to do. I want to emphasize again that this is a historical vote. In my mind, this might be the most significant vote I make on my tenure on council." Another quote, Councillor Ezziati said, "I think we all know what the truth has been in this area. legacy contamination still presents a risk despite the surface level cleanup efforts. I think we have a moral obligation to get out of this. So again, I just want to thank the council for your attention. Please vote to withdraw from the Rocky Mountain Greenway. Stand in solidarity with our neighbors. Thank you for your time.
Thank you very much. Next, we will go to Jeff Geip. Oh, Bill Davis. Never mind. I'm just going to let you call it for me, Ms. Rush, and I appreciate it. Mr. Davis.
Hey, how's it going? Can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Please go ahead. Full name and address for the public record, please.
Bill Davis, 6520 McIntyre Court, Arvada, 80007. I'm going to be short and sweet. I am all for the Layden Rock mountain bike trails. I hear that's coming up on the agenda and public comments, but you know, I ride bikes, my kids ride bike. We live just south of Layden Rock, and it would be fantastic to have a trail system up in Layden Rock that would connect. Eventually, I hear it's going to connect to North Table Mountain. That'd be just fantastic, and I hope everybody supports it. That's all I've got. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And for the record of what a lot of folks are referencing, there is a trail system in Layden Rock. They have provided us with public testimony, quite a significant packet. So thank you for joining us this evening, sir.
Thank y'all.
All right, Ms. Rush. Jeff Geip.
Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for this opportunity. My name is Jeff Geip, and I'm a native of Arvada, address 13833 West 66th Way. And I'm also here to address the Rocky Mountain Greenway project. My father is a former Rocky Flats worker, and I created the Rocky Flats Cold War Horse Monument that is located off of Highway 72. I spent the last decade interviewing former workers, officials, and community members for a documentary about Rocky Flats that will premiere next month at the Denver Film Festival. And I hope that you all get a chance to see the film, and I'm happy to arrange a private viewing for you before then. After everything that I've gleaned over the past 10 years, I am deeply concerned about the Rocky Mountain Greenway Trail crossing that is under construction as we speak. And it's on the windblown edge of Rocky Flats, which is known to be the most contaminated edge. As you likely know, and have heard, the City of Westminster voted to withdraw from the project on September 23rd. And I urge you all to please watch their discussion and see what they had to say. I hope that Arvada will also investigate this issue more thoroughly than they have in the past. And, as soon as possible. I believe that if you have accurate and full information about the site, that you will also immediately halt your involvement in this potentially dangerous project that will further greenwash Rocky Flats and put all of your citizens at risk. Thank you again for this opportunity, and I will follow up with you in an email. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Mr. Stafford.
Thank you, Mayor Simpson. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you just fine. Please, full name and address for the record.
Randy Stafford, 10461 West Indoor Drive, Indore, Littleton, Colorado, 80127. Good evening, Mayor Simpson, Mayor Pro Tem Mormon, and members of the council. 10 months ago, I attended your first post-election business meeting to make a public comment. I told you about my mother, Kay Stafford, a 1958 Becher Scholar from Arvada High School, who went on to a distinguished career in Jefferson County Public Libraries. She had passed of pancreatic cancer 3 months before and suffered earlier in life from breast cancer, hypothyroidism, and the removal of a cystic kidney. All of those diseases can be induced by exposure to ionizing radiation. My plea to you in that comment was that you terminate Arvada's support for the Jefferson Parkway. Tonight, I'm attending again to urge you to stand with Superior, Broomfield, and now Westminster in opposition to the Rocky Mountain Greenway Trail crossings into the Rocky Flats National Wildlife Refuge. Those municipalities recognize the risks at the site and have taken responsible action to protect public health. It is unethical to greenwash Rocky Flats. It is immoral to normalize recreating on plutonium-contaminated land. It is irresponsible to downplay the danger of disturbing soil at the site. In preparation for participating in Westminster's study session this summer on the Greenway Trail, I polled former Rocky Flats workers with the question, do you think the Rocky Flats National Wildlife Refuge should be open to the public for hiking, biking, and horseback riding in the former buffer zone, especially the wind-blown area exposure unit? Of the 91 respondents, 59% answered absolutely not, and another 19% answered no. The safety assurances given by government agencies about the site are ultimately based on closed source modeling and estimation software owned by the federal department that contaminated the site in the first place. They are certainly not based on health monitoring of the local population, which the plaintiffs in Cook v. Rockwell sued for. They are not based on credible epidemiological studies of downwind citizens. Meanwhile, people in Five Parks and Whisper Creek have died of rare cancers. The safety assurances are based on allowable levels of plutonium in soil, which were determined in part by the congressional budget for the Rocky Flats cleanup project that did not remediate the refuge land at all. Due to the half-life of plutonium-239, the residual contamination at Rocky Flats will remain a problem for 250,000 years. I'm asking you to not exacerbate the problem by sponsoring projects that would further risk public health by encouraging access to the site and disturbing soil at the site. Do you want it to be your legacy that you went along with plans that could cause people to get cancer and die? Please stand with Superior, Broomfield, and Westminster for responsible governance regarding Rocky Flats. Please terminate your support for the Jefferson Parkway and the Rocky Mountain Greenway Trail. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Ms. Rush, is there anyone else on Zoom? All right, perfect. Thank you very much. We appreciate all of you. We will now open public comment in person. Normally, I have sheets and I call a name. Unfortunately, tonight I have numbers. So I will just call by a number and I will request that the first handful of people line up. So I'll call numbers 1 through 5. And if you're in those numbers, go ahead and line up. And then we'll just move you through. And we also request that if you want to stay, absolutely, but let's also make space for those who may be in the overflow chamber to also be able to come in and circle through as well. So with that, I will call up number 1, and if numbers 2 through 5 can line up. And I will also request that, again, for everybody, just name and full address for the record.
Hi, my name's Jim Kreider. I live at 9421 West 63rd Place in Arvada. Good evening, council members. I am a retired history teacher, so I'm going to give you just a little bit of history, not Arvada specific, but America specific. And I'm going to assert some opinions about the proposed navigation center on 60th Avenue. Every society has a system for providing for its unfortunate members. I don't think, to relate to the conversation you had earlier, I don't think Arvada can expect people to go to Lakewood for services. I think Arvada needs to pull its weight. I'm in agreement with much of what Councilmember Pfeiffer and much of what Councilmember Marriott said. I just don't want it to take 2 years. As you said, you've been working on this for a long time. So, a little history. One of America's founding communities, the Massachusetts Bay Colony, started their effort to take care of their unfortunate by having worthy beggars housed, supervised, and nourished by volunteer families at public expense. We're probably not going to do that in Arvada. I suspect some of the neighbors of those who voluntarily housed people in Massachusetts Bay weren't happy to have certain people living next door. In 1662, they built an almshouse for indoor relief of the aged and infirm poor, and eventually the Boston Almshouse served as a single shelter for the orphans, widows, solitary aged, feeble-minded, and infirm of the town, as well as for other destitutes, vagrants, misfits, petty thieves, and runaway servants. And I know that's some of what we're concerned about here. How much are we inviting petty thieves and probably not runaway servants to Arvada? I suspect that neighbors of that almshouse were also unhappy about where Massachusetts Bay put its almshouse. People will disagree about locations, and some of tonight's speakers, I think, will have very important and valuable comments to say. I'm glad you're listening to the folks in the green shirts. But the City Council's 4 criteria for location of services make sense to me. Number 1, cost. You bought a building that was available at an unusually good price. Nice job. Number 2, the involvement of Adams County. Being able to have 2 counties contribute to it instead of 1 if it were in the Jeffco portion makes sense to me. The zoning, 60th Avenue is zoned to allow people to be housed on site. An important consideration if we're to have a transition space for unhoused families to stay while they apply for more permanent housing. And your 4th criteria was access to transportation and groceries. Everybody in this kind of a situation who doesn't have a car needs to be close to those sources for sustenance and work. Therefore, I support the use of the 60th Avenue property for a navigation center. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Kreider. I will also note that we generally, just for the sake of chambers, we respectfully ask that you not engage with applause or booing or anything of that nature. Everyone is entitled to public comment. I recognize one way or the other folks will have people in the audience who support what they're saying, but just for the sake of everyone's interest, we please ask you to give that respect and no applauding, no booing in either direction. All right, please, next.
Good evening, council members and mayor and staff. I am Linda Gertenbach, a retired clergywoman, working associated with Arvada United Methodist Church, but living in Lakewood at 12083 West 27th Drive. I appreciate the opportunity to talk this evening, and I appreciated hearing about your plans to have small group listening and participation groups with the communities involved. There's a folk story about a prominent religious leader who suggested, and in fact bragged, that he could summarize the essence of most religions in 2 seconds standing on 1 foot. He was challenged to do so. So, love your neighbor. Some of our neighbors are facing real challenges due to many factors, many among them lost jobs, mental health issues, chronic illness, addictions, domestic violence, and they find themselves on the streets. Our responsibility is to compassionately help them move out of homelessness to a stable environment, providing shelter, food, treatment, and support they need. Listen to one story. Meet Donna Beardsley, a resilient 70-year-old who was referred by someone at the Arvada Library to Mission Arvada in October 2023. Donna's husband had died 5 years before, and in September of that year, she found herself without a place to live when her landlord refused to renew her lease. With no stable place to call home, she moved between friends and family, often finding herself sleeping outdoors. She found some solace in a secluded bench on the grounds of a church where she was able to sleep every night except Wednesdays and Sundays. Things were going okay, Donna said, but then I fell off the wagon. The stress of her situation and the influence of her new group of friends led her back to alcohol abuse. Determined to turn her life around, she checked into a rehab facility and successfully completed the program. She is now working closely with her case manager at Mission Arvada to secure housing and is excited to be nearing the top of the waiting list. Meanwhile, a longtime friend has welcomed her to stay so she can get a place of her own. The stories show the homeless are not just numbers, not just statistics, not just problems to be dealt with. They are each unique members of our human family living in community with us, all of us, residents, business owners, church members, educators, workers, government officials, are called to care for the most vulnerable. So let's together figure out how to support and encourage our neighbors in the most successful way by developing a system of care from 24/7 shelters to navigation centers to supportive housing. Let's put our collective heads together and commit our energy and will to helping our neighbors soon. Thanks.
Thank you very much. Number 3, please come on up.
It's such an honor to be here. My name is Tanya Lyons. I live on Grandview. Mm-hmm. I'm from the Kin Carroll community, and I grew up in Jefferson County. I also lived in Aspen, and my father worked for the White House my whole life until his passing. I owe this fine community an apology. In an effort to care for the homeless, I became misguided, and I posted terrible things about our beautiful police department and you, our beautiful mayor, on my Facebook. I'm so sorry. You know, I've lived a lifetime of privilege, And when I saw the homeless in Old Town and their suffering, I became incensed at their suffering. And I began being with them through the day, through the night, and sometimes overnight. And yes, they want help. They come to me and say, do you know where I could find a place to live? Do you know where I could find a job? Do you know how I could get off of these drugs? Do you know how I could find a mentor? And 2 days ago, my homeless friend Michael, who's actually the fashion stylist for my new modeling agency I've started, Old Town Modeling, he was sleeping in the parking garage. And that sounds like a great idea. There's a cover over your head, it's quiet. But at 8 in the morning, he found himself underneath a vehicle. He had been run over, and his face was against the bumper. And the people who ran over him came out of the car and said, "Oh my goodness," and then they left. Michael didn't feel comfortable calling emergency services, and so he found his way to Mission Arvada, where I was having breakfast, and I took him to my loft, and I tried to scan for injuries to his organs that had been his right side, and then I gave him some Aleve, and he stayed 2 days at my place, and he's an amazing individual. So I have conducted a survey of the homeless. I have a cross-section of 15, and I would love to hand those over to our wonderful mayor because it explains what their visions are for their life, what they need for accountability, all these amazing things. And I can't believe I didn't take up all of my time, but I'm Tanya. I live on Grandview. If anyone would like to connect with me so we can do this together, because I know what it's like to have immense wealth beyond words, and I know what it's like to have nothing. And I thank you so much for listening.
Thank you. If you have documents, please provide them to Ms. Rust, and she'll make sure all members of council get them.
I'll bring them tomorrow.
Thank you. All right. Number 4, and at this time, I will also ask numbers 6 through 10 to go ahead and line up.
Good evening. My name is Rachel Bolt. I live at 6146 Raleigh Street. I commend Arvada for trying to address the complex issue of homelessness, but the solution is not to put the burden of homelessness on a residential neighborhood a quarter mile from a park and playground used by children. My husband and I used to live in Denver, close to a shelter, and unfortunately, homelessness comes with significant collateral consequences. In the years we lived there were several instances of violent crime, murder, assaults, sexual assaults, and your daily property crime and theft, not to mention the trash, human waste, drug paraphernalia found in all of our public spaces. In the end, we just couldn't imagine raising our child in that environment. The city is now asking my neighbors to bear those burdens. It is not lost on me that our neighborhood is considered one of the more affordable areas of Arvada. It is filled with many first-time homeowners like myself that worked hard to be able to afford our first homes and raise our children in a safe environment. We would have never bought our house had this proposal been on the table. I appreciate and I'm encouraged by the comments that I heard this evening that the council has recognized that the process has been flawed so far. By purchasing this building before engaging with the community, it has felt like a foregone conclusion that this will be used for a homeless shelter. I think the process requires not identifying how this building can serve the homeless, but whether that is the right use in the first place. I support the idea of a steering committee to think through how this building could best serve the community and neighborhood, because I truly think it could serve the community without placing the burden on my neighbors. It could be used for a food pantry, low to no cost childcare for those that are struggling. Unfortunately, no amount of community agreements and best intentions will prevent the negative impacts that come with homelessness. It is quite clear this neighborhood is very concerned about this proposal in our community, and if the council and the city do not address these concerns, there are mechanisms that my neighbors can take, and I encourage everybody to get familiar with the referendum and initiative ordinances in the city code. I truly hope that it doesn't come to that and that the city will do a better job going forward engaging with my neighbors in the community on how this building should be used. Thank you.
Thank you. Number 5.
Good evening, Mayor and City Councilors. I'm Joyce Richardson, and I have lived at 6521 West 69th Way in Arvada for 36 years. I am here to voice support for the Navigation Center and a cold weather shelter at the recently purchased Early College of Arvada school building. I'm a member of Arvadans for Progressive Action, an organization that in 5 days of online talking, we presented 120 supporters of this project on an online petition at the end of September. Whether we like it or not, the current housing crunch, unfettered increases in rent, substance abuse, expensive emergency health care, families that have fallen apart, have contributed to incredible numbers of unhoused families and singles needing support. It seems any changes to Arvada brings a lot of opposition, no matter what and where these changes are planned. I just want to point out that this building is already in a commercial area. It's already zoned properly for use as a navigation center and shelter, and will be a convenient location once Community Table moves near there. I understand it isn't easy to bear the brunt of anger and distrust, but I'm hopeful our city leaders will stand strong and continue plans to help our unhoused here in Arvada as soon as possible. I really don't want to see any more frozen people. I don't like the idea of cold families in their cars, and I hope that this decision isn't meeting to death over the next 2 years. I think we must do something. The data, I believe, is there. The county has been working on this, and I urge you to move on it. Thank you.
Thank you. Number 6.
Yeah, I'm Bruce Morrison. I live at 6521 West 69th Way for 36 years. We raised our children there. They were well served by the Jefferson County Schools. They both have college degrees and they have jobs. They cannot afford to live in Arvada. They cannot afford to live in Arvada. That's the problem. I do want to thank the council, as I know you give freely of your time to work on this, but I must say that I am extremely disappointed to what I heard tonight. Extremely disappointed. That we're going to put this off for a year and a half, okay? You know, pandering things like saying that the Arvada Old Town businesses are suffering when they're thriving. You know, I'm extremely disappointed. The previous council was even worse. They studied it. They paid people to study it. It's been years working on this. And now we're back to step one. I really don't know what to say. The previous council and mayor would not even sign off on a grant to Mission Arvada at the Rising so that they could expand their services to the homeless. They wouldn't even allow that to go forward and allow more services to the homeless without any tax money. I was very encouraged that finally there was movement, and finally we did something towards some services, some more services for a navigation center, which is a critical element of are dealing with the homeless so they can get into housing, so they can take showers, so they can connect with a counselor and those kind of things. It doesn't take a year and a half to decide that we're going to do something about homeless. So I was very happy. And now we're at step one again, starting at the beginning after 4 years of messing with this. So I just want to encourage you to do this expeditiously, decide what to do, and move forward. Thank you.
Thank you. Number 7.
My name is Karen Deodo. I live at 4816 West 61st Place. Council members, community members, and residents, thank you for being here today. I stand before you to address a pressing concern regarding the proposed homeless navigation center at the former Early College of Arvada building. I must emphasize that the council has yet to schedule meetings to hear our voice, leaving us with little to no opportunity to address our concerns as a community. We are left to raise our valid concerns here during this public meeting so that they may be heard and recorded. We hope that the council understands our need to be part of this process and the importance of having our voices heard. On September 17th, during the town hall meeting, we were told that the plans for this navigation center were not finalized. We were told we would have an opportunity to engage in dialogue and share our concerns before any action would be taken. Yet, the city's actions align closely with their homelessness action strategy, which, despite being labeled a draft, details specific steps that have already been taken. Despite an outcry for more engagement before moving forward with this plan, the city is continuing to advertise the project as of September 22. These decisive actions suggest a preordained plan that disregards our voices. We're left to wonder, if the plans were truly open for discussion, why are these critical steps already in motion? If the city truly values transparency and collaboration, we wouldn't be witnessing such swift decisions without genuine community consultation. Beyond the city's actions, I'm appalled by the lack of respect Mayor Simpson has shown to our community, from labeling us as, quote, misinformed, to telling us she can, quote, clear this room. The neighbors of Arlington Meadows have joined together to speak to you today about the steps we want you, our elected officials and public stewards, to take in our neighborhood. We deserve to have our concerns acknowledged and addressed, not just as an afterthought or as a formality. Taxpayers are not an open checkbook. We deserve equal representation. This is not just about a building, it's about our community's future and how we come together to address complex issues like homelessness in a way that reflects our values and priorities. Today, I urge everyone in this room to reflect on the importance of genuine community involvement in this process. It's imperative that we hold our city leaders accountable and demand a more inclusive dialogue as we navigate this critical issue. We will detail our grievances, provide you with relevant data that supports our arguments, and present a comprehensive list of proposed alternative uses for the ECA building. These alternatives aim to benefit not only homeless individuals, but the community as a whole. It's time we truly and honestly collaborate to develop solutions that holistically reflect the needs and desires of all Arvadans. Arlington Meadows is standing together as a united, unbreakable community, fighting for the city to stop, to think, and to do the right thing. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Number 8.
Hi, I'm Laura Sadowski. I live at 6235 Xavier Court in Arvada. The lack of transparency and predetermined outcome of this navigation center. Based on conversations with the city council members and completing our own research, we have discovered several concerning aspects of the city's budget, planned spending, existing unutilized services, and broken promises, and who the center will serve. Beginning with the financial burden, the city simply doesn't have the budget to construct and maintain this facility. The city may be aware, but what isn't being disclosed to the residents is the hidden tax increases for roads and parks that will be redirected to fund this project, which is expected to cost over $1 million annually. This $1 million could be used for essential services, our parks, our infrastructure, and other public safety programs. Instead of investing in our community needs, our Arvada residents and constituents will be forced to support a project that benefits the region, but not our residents. Now, you might have heard this is a nonprofit will fund this facility, but let's be clear, nonprofit doesn't mean free. These organizations will require substantial taxpayers' funding to operate. There is no magical solution here. Residents will ultimately bear the costs. We will be asked to increase our taxes for roads and schools, but the funds will be redirected to support the navigation center. Is this the best use of our taxpayer dollars? We also need to consider our existing services. Arvada already has sufficient homeless services in place. Can the council prove to us that the resources are lacking? Adding a navigation center will attract more individuals to our area, but won't address the root cause of homelessness. Instead, we risk straining our community resources further without making meaningful differences, as seen at the navigation centers in Lakewood and Denver. Let's examine the regional aspects of this proposal. While the facility is touted as a solution for families, the reality is it'll place undue burdens on our local taxpayers. Arvada will find itself funding a regional facility that doesn't directly benefit our residents. Other counties will be shifting their responsibilities to us, leaving our taxpayers to shoulder the load. In summary, Arvada does not need this facility in this scale. Homeless services should be managed at the county level, not imposed on individual cities like ours. We must prioritize responsible budgets to ensure the resources are used effectively to benefit all Arvada residents. Thank you.
Thank you. Number 9, and I will also invite up numbers 11 through 15 at this time to please queue up.
Good evening. My name is Judy Sadestein. I reside at 6116 Vrain Street. I've lived there for 32 years. To continue this conversation, we would like to emphasize that this is not a NIMBY, N-I-M-B-Y argument. The council is not just disingenuous in its purported survey, it has utterly failed to examine the resources, support, and capacity of this neighborhood to absorb this project. Not only is there limited police, healthcare, and other services, but the city has not revealed to anyone how much this project will affect the water and sewer usage. There will be no developer to absorb these additional costs. Arvada has surely learned from its other projects that infrastructure and water usage are essential elements of any expansion of population density in a neighborhood. Arvada has failed to evaluate these issues successfully in the very recent past, and as a result has spent time in litigation when working with the neighborhood would have been a better use of its time and energy. We need to confront the longstanding neglect of public resources also in Arlington Meadows. From inadequate road infrastructure to insufficient police presence, our neighborhood has been overlooked for far too long. According to a report by DOLA, neighborhoods with inadequate public services often see crime rates increase by as much as 25%. This bureaucratic tug of war between Adams County and the city of Arvada has left us without essential support. Additionally, we want to ask the city how they plan to support a new development that will service anywhere from 200 or more people with respect to water rights. Will we be responsible for the strain on our water resources and increased water costs as a result of this project? Research shows that neighborhoods lacking adequate public services often experience decreased community engagement. How can we expect effective management of a homeless navigation center when our basic needs remain unaddressed? If our community continues to be neglected, how can we trust any additional resources will be properly managed and not exacerbate existing issues? We need a clear commitment to improve our infrastructure and our public services before introducing new facilities that may further strain our limited resources. It's essential that our community is not only heard, but actively involved in decisions affecting our neighborhood. We deserve better, and any plans for a navigation center must take into account the urgent need for enhancements to our existing services and infrastructure. Only then can we begin to build a framework for effective resource management and community support. And finally, only through genuine collaboration can we foster a safe and supportive environment for everyone, ultimately benefiting both the residents and those seeking assistance. Thank you.
Thank you. Number 10.
My name is Dave Cornell. I live at 13633 West 64th Drive.
Arvada, 8,004. Let's look at the funding associated with the proposed navigation center. Mayor Simpson has said that it needs to be placed in a residential neighborhood due to the funding the city is receiving. However, existing legislation allows for various initiatives that do not require this location. For example, the grant from DOLA does not demand use of funds in a neighborhood. The housing voucher program from the Arvada Housing Authority mandates only low-income status, U.S. citizenship, or eligible immigration status, and a clean criminal record. American Rescue Plan Act funding can be used for emergency shelter and supportive services without a requirement to be in a residential area. The main requirements regarding location designates the center must be near transportation, grocery stores, jobs, and medical care. This does not align with the conversion of ECA into a navigation center, since it lacks nearby job opportunities and appropriate medical care. On September 23rd, Councilmember Lisa Farrett announced that Westminster has committed $1 million to assess and creating a navigation center. While this reflects regional interest in homelessness, it raises concerns. If the center is for Arvada residents only, why is Westminster contributing? This makes an important question. Are neighboring municipalities funding a service that burdens just one community? Former city manager Mark Devon stated on September 27, 2022, that Arvada would not support similar projects near schools and business in Old Town, stating unhoused individuals who seek service at Mission Arvada often remain encamped near and within Old Town under conditions that are unsafe and unsanitary. These conditions have become a burden to the Old Town community. If this applies there, why is Arlington Meadows considered acceptable? This inconsistency raises critical questions about why our community must bear this burden. Now, property values. Studies show that shelters can lead to decreases in property values by an average of 12%. Yesterday, the city acknowledged that the center will likely negatively impact home values. A 2019 study in the Journal of Urban Economics found that neighborhoods with shelters experience significant property value drops, impacting local economies. Many homeowners have faced tax increases of 30 to 50%. If property values decline, will taxes decrease? The combination of rising taxes, declining property, creates an unsustainable situation. Additionally, increased crime linked to the navigation center could further diminish property values. We need clarity on these financial implications to fully understand the impact on our community. Sorry I ran over.
Thank you, I appreciate it. All right, number 11.
Hi, my name is Kara Rowland. I live at 4795 West 63rd Avenue in Arlington Meadows. I'm an architect. I'm a mom of two beautiful little girls that are 3 and 5. And I went to Arvada West High School and was proud to be able to purchase my own home in our neighborhood 6.5 years ago with my husband, who's a public educator. I'm here with my community to share my concerns. We are concerned about the lack of job opportunities in our area for individuals seeking employment. According to data from the 2022 Adams County Economic Profile, the employment rate in our neighborhood is significantly lower than in surrounding municipalities of Adams County. Additionally, the city of Arvada has the lowest population of any municipality in Adams County, with 2,868 residents of Arvada in Adams County. By implementing a navigation center planned to support anywhere from 300 to 500 individuals, the population would increase up to 17.5%, creating a significant burden to an area which is already struggling to provide taxpayer basic resources such as infrastructure updates and police presence, to be discussed in more detail later. Both of these facts suggest that it will be increasingly difficult for anyone in Arlington Meadows and the surrounding area to get a job and maintain a high enough salary to live in the neighborhood, both critical barriers for those attempting to regain stability. With a robust support system, simply placing a navigation center here does not address the root issues of an individual's economic instability. A 2023 report by the Colorado Coalition of the Homeless found that unemployment and underemployment are significant factors contributing to homelessness. How can we assist our neighbors experiencing homelessness when the necessary resources and job opportunities for current residents are lacking now? We must ask ourselves, how can we create a meaningful path to stability for those in need if we don't have the infrastructure to support them? Additionally, many residents have reached out to Adams County regarding these concerns and have received no response. This silence only deepens our sense of neglect. This reality, combined with the City of Arvada's lack of public engagement with Adams County, concerns us and it indicates a lack of proactive planning while bulldozing ahead with plans for this center. A survey by the National League of Cities shows the effective communication is vital for community, trust, and engagement. We deserve timely responses and acknowledgments and acknowledge our concerns. So I'm here to request, ask, and pray that you as council members make decisions based on wisdom, authenticity, and with the best interests of our community and our city. Thank you.
Thank you. Number 12.
Good evening. I'm Renee Cornell. I live in the West Arvada area, but this is a real concern for our Arlington Meadows neighborhood. In addressing the essential health and support services needed for the homeless population and our broader community, we must recognize the significant mental health and substance challenges many individuals face. According to the National Association to End Homelessness, nearly 30% of homeless individuals report having a mental health condition, while over 60% they experience substance use disorders. While Councilwoman Ambrose pointed to the ECA's proximity to the healthcare services as a reason for selecting it as a navigation center location, we must clarify that we currently only have access to an urgent care center. Unfortunately, this facility is not equipped to handle critical emergencies that the homeless population often faces, such as overdoses, mental health crisis, and injuries from violent altercations. These situations require immediate and specialized medical attention that an urgent care center simply cannot provide. Placing a navigation center in Arlington Meadows is a short-sighted and unsafe for the very population it aims to help. The increased cost to the Arvada Police Department and fire, as well as other costs for pedestrian walkways and lights, have not been incorporated into the proposed budget for this plan. Without comprehensive mental health and addiction treatment resources, we risk creating issues that currently do not exist in our neighborhood. These essential services are lacking in our surrounding area due to the lack of demand, raising serious concerns about the need for a navigation center in Arlington Meadows. Moreover, without proper support system in place, the navigation center may inadvertently become a revolving door, where individuals cycle in and out without achieving lasting stability. This not only fails those in need, but also places additional strain on our community's resources and emergency services. We need to prioritize establishing a robust network of health and support services for our residents before implementing a navigation center. This includes the need for facilities that specialize in mental health and general health care services. Currently, the closest general practitioner and emergency room is 3.4 miles away. Only with the right resources can we truly support individuals in need, work towards sustainability solutions that benefit both the homeless population and the community as a whole. Denver
Ma'am,
homeless, village
respectfully, ma'am,
surrounding.
your time has expired. I'll go ahead and give you a few seconds to wrap your thoughts. Oh, okay. Please come on up. Number 13.
My name is Ariana Shade. I live at 4976 West 61st Place in Arlington Meadows. I live there with my partner and our beautiful daughter, who's almost 1. So I'm here to talk about the safety and crime concerns that I have and many of my community members have. We must address safety concerns arising from the introduction of a navigation center in our neighborhood. Research indicates that the presence of a homeless shelter can lead to increased crime rates in surrounding areas. In November 2023, Denver converted a hotel near Central Park into a navigation center. Since the opening of the campus, calls to the police and first responders rose by 2,900%. Crime rates increased by 317%, according to the Denver Public Crime Map data. In March 2024, 2 people were murdered at the shelter, and Denver has since increased security measures by installing security cameras, implementing a badge system, and increasing police presence. Neighborhoods near the shelters can see an increase in 911 calls ranging from 20% to over 50%. Some areas have observed a modest rise of 20 to 30% in calls related to welfare checks, disturbances, while others, particularly those facing challenges related to homelessness, may experience a much more significant surge in the shelter if the shelter becomes a focal point of social services, which is exactly what is planned with the navigation center. The fear of increased crime can diminish property values and reduce community engagement. According to a survey by the National Association of Realtors, 71% of homebuyers indicated that crime rates were a significant factor in the decision-making process, as we've heard. We need assurances from the city that adequate measures will be taken to ensure safe and security of our community. This includes not only monitoring crime rates, but also implementing community policing initiatives and ensuring that sufficient resources are allocated to law enforcement. Compounding these concerns is the fact that the Arvada police force has lost 12% of its officers since the pandemic. Arvada's police to resident ratio is 1.3 per 1,000 people, while the Colorado average is 2.2. That's 1.35 officers to 2.2, city versus state. This raises serious questions about our community ability to maintain safety and trust in the city leadership when Arvada operates with a statistically understaffed police force. Additionally, Arlington Meadows has consistently faced challenges in emergency responses, often caught between Adams County and Arvada. Calls for emergency assistance, whether the safety concerns, theft, critical first response needs, frequently get bounced between jurisdictions, leading to increased response times and lack of security for residents. This situation poses potentially fatal outcomes for those in need. The introduction of a navigation center will only exacerbate these issues, as it's projected to drastically increase our neighborhood's current call statistics. We must demand clear plans from the city to address these critical safety concerns before moving further. Lastly, although I understand the food bank is its own separate agenda item, we'd appreciate information and community engagement for overall plans when land banking and what the city plans to do with those properties. Thank you.
Thank you. Number 14. And at this time, I will invite numbers 16 through 19 to go ahead and line up.
Brandon Rowland, 4795 West 63rd Avenue, Arvada, Colorado, Arlington Meadows. Councilmember Pfeiffer, I will engage you with the steering committee. I'll do my civic duty and be engaged. Building on what you said, Councilmember Marriott, if I were to define the problem, 1, we have an engagement problem with our community, and 2, we have an equity problem. According to the 2020 Census Bureau's website, our zip code has a lower household median income rate, a lower college education rate, but a higher employment rate compared to the zip code that I'm standing in right now. I view that as an equity issue. I also view it as an equity issue when we look at transporting homeless residents from Jefferson County, a more affluent county, to Adams County, a less affluent county. Now to the prepared remarks. We should consider long-term community development strategies that provide sustainable solutions to homelessness and related issues. According to a report from the U.S. Interagency Council on Homelessness, referenced in the city's 2024 Homeless Action Strategy, shelters and temporary housing, such as navigation centers, do not reduce homelessness on their own. Rather, investing in affordable housing, jobs, education, and essential services foster economic growth and stability, offering residents access to all within their community. Arlington Meadows and the surrounding area currently lacks all of these, and focusing on incorporating them first assists individuals experiencing homelessness and uplifts the entire neighborhood, creating a more resilient and connected community. According to the 2023 report from the Colorado Coalition for the Homeless, a household must earn $32.13 per hour, or $66,830 annually, to afford a two-bedroom apartment. For a minimum wage worker who earns $13.65 per hour, which is the 2023 minimum wage, they must work 94 hours per week to afford that same unit. Furthermore, there is a shortage of affordable housing across the state. We must address these problems in Arvada first before moving towards a navigation center that will amplify these existing issues in our community. The proposed navigation center lacks sustainability and will require millions of dollars to operate beyond the initial estimated startup cost of tens of millions of dollars needed for renovations and building purchase. Ongoing funding will be necessary to cover operational expenses, staffing, and maintenance, which could strain our city's resources and divert funds from other critical community needs. By adopting a long-term vision that prioritizes comprehensive community development, we can cultivate an environment where everyone thrives. This initiative goes beyond merely addressing homelessness. It's about creating a vibrant, inclusive community that empowers all residents. As we consider these strategies, let's emphasize the importance of sustainability, not just in terms of the housing this area desperately needs, but also in economic opportunities and social services. We can build a future that addresses immediate needs while laying the groundwork for long-lasting positive change.
Okay, sir?
In doing so,
Sorry,
we can create a
respectfully,
supportive
you're-
framework. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it. You know, I always give them a few seconds. All right.
Tiffany
Please.
Munoz, 6275 Xavier Court in Arlington Meadows. Mayor Simpson has asked us, if not here, then where? Our response is simple. At this time, nowhere. Placing a regional facility in our small neighborhood is unfair and burdens our community without providing us with support we need in return. Navigation centers, while well-meaning, are not the answer to homelessness. The city's own data shows the homeless population stems from a variety of causes, many of which are already being addressed by existing resources. Arvada already has at least 5 shelters and many other resources available for those in need. So why are we duplicating services we already offer? This isn't about denying help to those who need it. Rather than a costly facility we can't afford, we need to strengthen the services we already have. The ECA building offers a unique opportunity to genuinely uplift our community, such as a recreation center offering sports programs, tutoring services, language classes, and even a small library. By incorporating a police substation, the center could also offer camps that involve police and fire departments, giving children the chance to interact with positive role models. Programs like these would foster trust and build stronger community relationships. Additionally, the rec center could collaborate with existing services like the Community Table Food Bank, creating volunteer opportunities that build positive connections among community members. Childcare and educational services. This is a critical need in our neighborhood as we are a childcare desert. There's 13 to 19% of our children live in poverty. We should transform the ECA building into a middle school, childcare center, or early childhood development program. These services would make a difference in the lives of families struggling to make ends meet. Research shows that access to quality education, especially early on, significantly reduces the risk of homelessness later in life. A collaborative NGO space. We can create a hub for local nonprofits and social service organizations. The collaborative approach, according to Urban Institute, leads to better outcomes for people experiencing homelessness. By offering coordinated wraparound services, an office space for NGO in the ECA building, they could enhance support and resources for the entire community. This space could also serve as a networking hub, offering workstations for individuals who work from home but need a safe and productive environment, especially if combined with affordable childcare. The center could also be a safe space for teens to do schoolwork, use educational resources, or connect with mentors, offering an alternative to being unsupervised during out-of-school hours. we should also sell the property. The city should sell the ECA property and reinvest the funds into programs that already work. The proceeds could bolster our current homeless resources, providing even more support to the services that are already in place. There's no need to duplicate efforts and drain the resources to serve other counties, not just Arvada. Together, we need to stand up for practical, community-centered alternatives and not on temporary solutions that only push the problem further down the road. We need to make smart investments in Arvada.
Thank you very much. Number 15.
16.
Oh, 16. Thank you, Lily.
My name is Lily Alish. I share a fence line with ECA, and I'm pretty pissed off. As you know, this is a very hot topic in our community, and I'm very proud to see all of us come together to fight you guys on this. I've witnessed both the strengths and challenges that we face, but I must express the lack of effective communication from the city officials regarding the potential opening of a homeless shelter has been very disappointing. Particularly those living on the east side of Sheridan, we feel forgotten. When was the last time a routine police patrol was in our area? It's often a lack of resources. Why does our side get so little resources? Introducing a homeless shelter, or whatever you want to call it, is not the answer. It won't solve the existing issues for either the homeless people in our community or our neighborhood. The proposal feels like an attempt to prioritize the monetary success of Old Town over our real needs of our community. Arlington Meadows is not a place to hide away those issues. We are a vibrant community and we want a future. After enduring the pandemic, that has profoundly affected our collective well-being for the neighborhood. Every day, I now see children going to the park and having a great time and enjoying the neighborhood. But there are still streets that don't have lights. And you're still going to go out and put money into another resource that isn't our community. We genuinely do care about these homeless individuals, but it's vital to address these challenges in a way that truly benefits everybody. Instead of placing a shelter in our neighborhood, let's invest in solutions to uplift individuals, protecting our community. And that means investing in our future as well and ensuring that our children can thrive in a safe and supportive environment. By focusing on our community's needs first, we can create a safe and positive environment for our children and the generations to come. Together, let's ensure that Arlington Meadows remains a resilient community where everyone can enjoy the vibrant neighborhood that we've built. And I have time, so I'm going to go off script here a little bit. Councilmember Maria, I thank you for your points. If the city does decide to keep this, then I would like the change of narrative to be more towards Bob Pfeiffer's. I have felt that it's more Mayor Simpson, respectfully, let me know what your answers are and I'll tell you why you're wrong. Your quoting of, we'll listen, we'll refine, we'll listen, we'll refine, has not been the case whatsoever. You change your narrative. People here do think that it's a homeless shelter. When you talk about people in Old Town, they think it's a homeless shelter. You're telling us it's for families and it's for small communities and people, but you're looking at regional funding. That's not small. And you want to engage a small community? We need it bigger than this because you're going to put it in our backyard. Finally, I would like to volunteer for the CIP and I'd like to open my home as well to my neighbors.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. I'm going to welcome up 17, 18, and 19, and then we're going to close this portion of public comment. Don't worry, we will have the other one at the end, but go ahead and come on up.
My name is Michaela Kashevska, and I live off of 64th and Sheridan in Arlington Meadows. In conclusion, the Early College of Arvada building presents a unique opportunity to address multiple community needs simultaneously. This is not merely about housing homeless individuals experiencing homelessness. This is about transforming our neighborhood into a supportive, thriving community. By focusing on childcare services, educational resources, and community support, we can create a vibrant hub that will genuinely benefit Arlington Meadows. Consider the pressing need for childcare services in our area, which has been described as a childcare desert. With the growing number of young families in Arlington Meadows, establishing such services can help support families at risk of homelessness, providing them with the stability that they need to prosper. Furthermore, turning this space into a recreation center or educational facility can significantly uplift our community, ensuring that our children have access to safe spaces and quality education, essential factors in preventing homelessness. Let's shift our focus from merely managing the symptoms of homelessness to addressing root causes, such as unaffordable housing and lack of job opportunities, through comprehensive, community-oriented solutions. We cannot afford to implement a plan that merely relocates the problems associated with homelessness without offering sustainable solutions. We must work collaboratively to create alternatives that reflect our community's values and needs. We need to advocate for ongoing community engagement and accountability in whatever direction that we take. This process should not be a top-down approach, where decisions are made without our input or justified with infrastructure afterthoughts and sweet sentiments. We deserve a seat at the table every time, ensuring that our concerns are heard and our voices matter. Today, I urge all of you to stand with us. Let's demand that our city leaders prioritize community involvement and invest in solutions that serve the entirety of Arlington Meadows. Together, we can ensure that our decisions today will positively impact all residents, not just a select few. Arlington Meadows, our neighborhood, our choice. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Number 17. Oh, 18.
Mindy Moore, 11570 West 70th Place. I serve on several city and county housing committees looking at affordable housing, which we've heard a lot about tonight. I've also volunteered for Family Promise, the severe weather shelter in Mission, Arvada, so I've got to know a lot of people who are unhoused or on the brink of being unhoused. And what we've heard tonight, I think, is some very valid concerns from this neighborhood that the city does need to address. I also think that there's a severe lack of just communication and coordination and understanding. Jefferson County, back in 2015, established Heading Home. This organization with a bunch of nonprofits and cities, including Arvada, which was invited and has participated, their goal was to prevent and end homelessness whenever possible. And when it cannot be prevented, ensure it is rare, brief, and a one-time experience. So for at least, 8 years, and I've been working with them since 2017, there have been plans. They have been collecting data. The data is there. They came up with a homelessness action plan in 2021. Some of the things being addressed, the need for affordable housing, and I commend Arvada for adopting a housing strategy, and they really are starting to work on that very seriously. It is going on. I can vouch for that. Permanent supportive housing, which is something that people who face more challenges and aren't quite ready to move into their own home, working with Family Tree, and they'll be building something in Arvada as well. That's an example. As far as the people who are, and for the people on the edge of homelessness, the city has been getting grants and trying to do eviction prevention. They've hired homeless and housing navigators. I commend them for that. But there has been a gap, in the actual ability to take care of people so they don't die on the street. We don't have that. We don't have one stop. Part of the Heading Home plan was to establish things like navigation centers where people can go to one place, a hub, and get everything they need, especially if they don't have a car and they can't go driving around to get IDs, shower, laundry. And yes, sometimes you need shelter, a place to stay, so they can leave their belongings so you don't see them carrying them around with them because they have no place to leave their belongings while they're working or getting services and help. And I also see this as an opportunity where some of the needs of this neighborhood can perhaps be met in this building as well, whether it's employment services, health issues we've heard about, lack of mental health services. It's not just for people that are going to be, in your mind, shipped from someplace else. It's our Arvada residents that also need a lot of these services. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. And number 19.
All right.
Yeah, my name is Michael Barella and live at 6193 Xavier Street. First, like to thank the council members for allowing me the opportunity to speak and share my concerns with the Homeless Navigation Center planned to be located at the Early College of Arvada location. My main concerns as outlined in the following are, 1, is there a plan for an increased police presence given the potential for increased crime and theft? Old Town Square and McElvey Park are a good representation of what an increase in a homeless presence will look like. Has the city evaluated the impact on property value for homes located in the area? Has a criteria been developed for who will be allowed to obtain services and stay at the homeless shelter, which will be located by several businesses, Tennyson Knolls Park and the Tennyson Knolls Preparatory School, which is within walking distance? My concern is the inability to identify sex offenders, violent criminals, or those with substance abuse or undergoing extreme mental health issues. Lastly, why was there a mere 1% response provided for the survey taken? With such a small response, it appears that several members of the community were not aware and or allowed to offer input. What went wrong, and will there be a follow-up survey to allow for additional input? And thank you again, and I hope you take into account the concerns I have raised and help our community remain safe and reconsider the Early College of Arvada proposal as the solution to the growing homeless problem. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I appreciate everyone who has given public comments so far. So we typically take a break around 8:00 p.m. each day just to stretch our legs, give people the opportunity to go to the bathroom, get water if you need it. So I'm going to go ahead and call a 10-minute break at this time. We will reconvene at 8:15. Also, we have a significant number of folks in the overflow chambers who would like to also be able to give public comment. So I'm not asking anyone to leave, but if you have been able to give public comment, I will request that you consider allowing your seat to be given to someone from the overflow chambers so that they can provide comment next. Yes, and you can go to the overflow. We have sound and audio in there. You won't miss anything, I promise. So, Councilmember Frey, did you want to speak?
Yes, I just wanted to see if there was a pulse from the rest of the council, if we could keep going when we come back for public comment. I think we're making good progress, and there's a lot of people that are here wanting to, so I'm wondering if there's others that are okay with that.
We are, but at the same time, I want to respectfully get through the hearing agenda items. We have 2 hearings that were scheduled for this evening, and we do need to be able to hear them in a timely manner. We've still got another 20 some odd to go.
Could we just, if we need to, can we just do the public hearing only and then put everything else behind? So no consent, no first readings, none of those. Those will wait till the very end.
Ms. Morris, I'll look to you.
So we can adjust the agenda the same way that we did at the very beginning of the meeting if you'd like to do that. Consent items, resolutions, and first readings will probably be super quick. Yeah. So I'll just throw that out there for council's consideration.
Yeah, out of respect out of the people that have been here tonight, I'd like to, even though we think they're quick,
yeah,
we might not make it quick. So I'd rather hear the public comments first. Does that work?
That's fine.
Frey?
So, folks, we'll move that. We'll do our 2 public hearings when we reconvene now at about, let's say 8:20. And then we'll move back to public comment, and then we'll close the rest of our business after we conclude public comment. All right. Thank you. Everybody, I appreciate your patience. I hope everybody enjoyed a good leg stretch. So tonight we are doing things very out of order, and we will be beginning our public hearings. First, I'm going to open the public hearing on CB 24-011, an ordinance vacating a portion of the cul-de-sac of West 59th Avenue dedicated as right-of-way, as shown as the replat of a portion of Crestmont subdivision adjacent to 5858 Ward Road, City of Arvada, County of Jefferson, State of Colorado. And this is going to be presented by our Community and Economic Development Director, Ms. Jessica Garner. Jessica.
Thank you, Mayor. The applicant, Creekside Communities, has requested approval of a vacation of a portion of the West 59th Avenue cul-de-sac near Ward Road. This vacation will remove the portion of the cul-de-sac bulb that will no longer be needed, as West 59th Avenue will be extended eastward to provide a public roadway connection from Ward Road to Van Gordon Street in conformance with the recently approved Hillcrest Loft Townhome development. The applicant is here should you have any further questions, and also Senior Planner Linda Hoover is here for any clarification. Thank you.
Thank you. I'd like to invite the applicant up at this time. If you'll raise your right hand, swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? I do. All right, thank you. Name, address, and please move forward with your presentation.
My name is Steven Sundberg with Creekside Communities. I don't have a presentation at this time, given the project was recently approved. If there's any questions, I'm here to answer. So,
Okay, great. I'll open it to council comments. Questions? Councilmember Pfeiffer.
Are you going to take public comment for the public hearing?
Thank you. Do we have anyone in the audience this evening who would like to provide public comment on this hearing item? Seeing none, I will close the public comment portion of this hearing. Councilmember Pfeiffer.
Do you want to make sure that there isn't anyone in the other rooms? They're all closed up?
We've closed up the overflow rooms, yes.
Okay. Okay. Just want to make sure somebody's not like trying to huff it over here and then we just close it on them. So the vacating is just the south side of the cul-de-sac?
that's correct. So we're kind of the bulb as described.
Yeah, I don't have a good, out of the documents you shared, I don't see a good picture, but the folks north of that cul-de-sac are concerned about their trees. I think we all got a letter this morning, and the trees are at the curve of the, I wish we could we get a Google Earth put up here by any chance? So we're all on the same page, or is that going to be, I'll keep talking while you do that, but if I can get a Google Earth on this, or whatever aerial shot, I shouldn't use the name, I guess. But there's the trees there. Are you planning on leaving those there and just straightening out the road a little bit there?
That's correct. On the demolition plan, they're shown to remain, and that continues with the proposed sidewalk.
So you will not mess with any of that property that even on the, because it curves, so I don't know how the street alignment, I looked at this earlier today. It looks like those trees don't keep that street straight, because are you going to keep that street all the way cut through to Van Gordon, I think it is?
That's correct. There is a little bit of a jog that occurs kind of just at the end of the cul-de-sac to come back down to reconfigure to Van Gordon. The trees are called out to remain. I believe the grade is existing or within 2 to 3 inches as well. So.
Okay.
Mr. Pfeiffer, if I may, I spoke to the gentleman. This is Linda Hoover with the Planning Department. So Dennis is the person that sent in that email. I've talked to him several times about this issue. And the plans that they have got approved for that Hillcrest development show that the tree will remain. There may need to be some trimming to keep site visibility available, but it won't change any easements. It won't change any right-of-way with that property. So where his tree is should be okay.
Okay.
I've also...
And his fences and everything else he said, he talked about the easement there.
Yeah,
Okay.
his easement's there, and it's not changing. It was there before. And he did reply with a response. I responded to his email this afternoon, and he did reply saying thank you. And we've got him working with the developer as they get ready to do construction to work on any issues related to that.
Can you zoom in to the property?
But it is on the opposite side of the vacation that we're talking about this evening.
It's to the left a little bit more. Let's zoom in more. So that street, so this is the cul-de-sac, so that street will just, it looks like you are angling it down. Okay. So
That's
it's not
correct.
like a
Yeah,
perfectly
it's
straight street anymore. It's going to be
Exactly, and it
angled.
was really a dead end that had the cul-de-sac bulb. It's kind of been utilized across the existing parking as a thoroughfare, if you will.
Yeah.
So we're just going to continue that right-of-way with the same right-of-way dimensions, just with a little jog to transition through.
Okay, that's great. Thank you.
Yeah, of course.
Thank you. Are there any additional questions or comments? If not, I will accept a motion. Councilmember Ferre.
I'll make the motion.
Please, there's no other lights.
I move that CB 24-011, an ordinance vacating a portion of the cul-de-sac of West 59th Avenue dedicated as a right-of-way as shown on the replat of the portion of Crestmount subdivision adjacent to 5858 Ward Road, City of Arvada, County of Jefferson, State of Colorado, be approved on final reading, numbered 4877, and ordered published by title only.
All right, if all council will cast their votes. All votes are cast. That passes 6-0. Thank you very much.
Thank you all for your time.
All right, next we have our second hearing of the evening. This is CB 24-012, an ordinance repealing and reenacting various sections of Chapter 14, Animals of the Arvada City Code that relate to the impoundment of animals. The presenter this evening is Deputy City Attorney Nora Steenson.
Thank you, Mayor Simpson, and good evening to you and members of City Council. The city's current animal impoundment ordinance dates from the 1990s. Since that time, the state of Colorado has modernized its animal impoundment ordinance to provide more guidance to animal owners and courts about when and how animals may be impounded and redeemed, and the best practices around impoundment, and as well, best practices around impoundment and redemption processes of animals has also changed in that time. The proposed ordinance was requested by presiding municipal court judge Katie Kurtz and by the APD's animal management supervisor Nicole Miller. The proposed ordinance tracks more closely with the state impoundment and redemption process and aligns more closely with current practices of our animal management office. The ordinance outlines a more structured process through which an animal owner may contest probable cause for an impoundment and may also contest the costs assessed for caring and providing for the animal during its impoundment. The ordinance also clarifies that certain acts related to the impoundment of animals are illegal, but it does not change the penalty for any violation of our animal ordinance. The city team recommends that the City Council approve this ordinance. Presiding municipal court judge Katie Kurtz and Nicole Miller, our animal management supervisor, are here to answer any questions you may have. Thank you.
Thank you. I will open it to council questions or action. Councilmember Davis.
I'd like to go ahead and make the motion.
I see no other lights.
I move that CB 24-012, an ordinance repealing and reenacting various sections of Chapter 14, Animals of the City of Arvada Code that relate to impoundment of animals, be approved on final reading numbered 4878 and ordered published by title only.
All right. Council will cast their votes. That passes 6-0. I thank you all. So that will close the public hearing portion of this evening's agenda, and we will go ahead and resume public comment at this time. So I would like to invite up numbers 20 through 24 to come on forward. And I also understand that some folks may not have that may have not have stayed that had those numbers. So if you're in those numbers, come on up and I'll start calling groups to go up as they're necessary. All right, please. Come on up, sir.
Want the name and stuff?
Name and full address for the public record, please.
Dan Ice, 5022 West 61st Avenue. This place is right behind my house. I don't want to see that thing there. I got kids and grandkids, and I can't even go out in the backyard and watch them all the time. I got a low fence. Are you guys going to put in a 6-foot fence for me so I can keep them people away from my kids? Huh? No? I didn't think so. Any of you guys ever do anything for the homeless? Just wondering. Any of you ever buy any socks for them? You ever buy any underwear? You ever buy any clothes, any coats, anything? Any of you? I didn't think so. I fed the homeless for 8 years in downtown Denver. They called it the biker feed with the CMA. We fed 2 times a month. We fed from 100 to 200 people per feed. We used, the money came out of our own pockets. We paid for it out of our pockets, unlike you guys that want everybody else to pay for this homeless stuff except you. And in that 8 years that we fed them, only 16 people come out of the homeless. That nobody else wanted to come out. They don't want to live in this society with you guys and your screwed up rules. They don't. Everything you say is a lie, and they know it. You want to put them in those shelters, and they don't want to stay in the shelters because everything they bring in there gets stolen by somebody. They're a bunch of thieves. I hate to say it. They're good people, but they get their stuff by stealing stuff. And we'll have to board up the windows in our garages, put in bigger fences, get freaking security for our house. And are you guys going to pay for any of this? Heck no, you're not. And the reason you want them over there is because you don't want them in your town. You don't want to see them there because it tarnishes your image. That's why you want to bring it over to the lower section of Arvada. It was the same way with the Democrats when we was feeding the homeless. When the Democratic Convention came into town, they shut down all the homeless and told them to get out of Denver. We wouldn't let us feed no more. And it was just so they wouldn't have to see the homeless. And everybody say, oh, Denver's got so many homeless. That's exactly what you guys want. You don't want them in your backyard. Why don't you put them in your backyard? Is there any reason? Yeah, because you don't want your stuff stolen. We don't want our stuff sold. We don't want our kids molested. We don't want them in our backyard. Put them in your backyard. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I will also note council is not allowed to respond to questions, but if you email us, we will be able to respond. So, all right, please come on up.
Hello, I am here mainly for concern of my children. I have been, my name is Catherine Duran, 6158 Zenobia Court, Arvada. I've been in Arlington Meadows for 23 years. I've seen the area grow and change with the light rail system. With that being placed into the city, that did attract some homelessness and some transients traveling through, which we have had items from our house stolen. I've had propane stolen. Recently, last month, we had a lady in our backyard who did appear to have some mental issues. I've also recently, just a week ago, was cleaning my car, and a man that had no shirt wandered in my garage while I was walking back and forth cleaning my car. This is a major concern to me because I have an 8-year-old daughter. I have a 16-year-old daughter as well. My daughter does go to practice up the street at the park. She's 16, and I can't even allow her to ride her bike to practice because of concerns. My 8-year-old can't even go out front and play, and now she can't even go out back or in my garage by herself. That is a major concern that I have to confine my children inside the home because I'm scared of what's outside and what can harm them. In addition, with this new facility being brought up in a possible proposal, my concern is that some of the members have already made their mind up. And with this, there is no criminal background check. How is that going to be maintained? How can you guarantee none of these individuals will be sex offenders? In addition, a lot of your homelessness are from those who have been incarcerated, where they have nowhere to go. So how can you guarantee safety of our community from individuals who have a past history? I understand people are bettering themselves. However, there are individuals that choose not to, that go into bad habits. We have drugs that are going to be running through our streets. And there's schools nearby. There's just a whole bunch of stuff with children that really concerns me. Another thing I'd like to say before I leave is if this is a rotating door, or for those who cannot stay in these facilities, where do they go? Are we going to have encampments in our parks? Are we going to have, it's already across I-70, I-76, so are we going to be experiencing more tent camps in the parks where my children play? Thank you.
Thank you. All right, I'll invite up 21 through 25. Anyone in those numbers, come on up.
Yes, I'm number 21. My name is Rick Rome.
I actually reside in Centennial at 7458 South Fairfax Court. However, I'm representing my aged mother who lives at 6056 Verrain Street. Folks, we've heard a lot of testimony tonight. People with pitchforks, tarred up torches, people talking about fairy dust and unicorn farts. The reality of the situation is we're faced with difficult times. Inflation is out of control. People are struggling to try and make ends meet. People are losing their homes, and there are some people who are actually homeless by circumstances that are outside of their control. That's not what we're talking about with this kind of a facility. What we are talking about with this kind of a facility is drug use, mental illness, crime. Folks, I grew up in that neighborhood. I was there when Tennyson Knowles Park was still a field. Got to participate in naming the park. I was there when Arlington Meadows was just Meadows. They came in and built these communities, built these houses, added to the community, added to the value of the community, where more people were able to come together as a neighborhood and be stronger as a solid, working-class, hard-working American community. The one thing that all of these homes have in common is it's a fee simple property ownership. We don't have a transient potential in that neighborhood. The only transients we really have are all the way down by Clear Creek. And I know this because I have a cousin who's living homeless, dealing with drug problems herself. Beautiful young woman, 2 children, gave up her life so that she can live on crystal meth and fentanyl. This is the kind of element that you're talking about bringing into this community of Arlington Meadows, where I grew up, and my aging mother is still living, and God help her if this happens, because you're putting her at risk, in addition to all these wonderful children that grow up in this neighborhood, have the benefits of that park and that strong community of a working-class neighborhood. People who have an ethic to look out for their neighbors. People who have an ethic to work for what they have and be proud of the work that they put into their community to have these things. Folks, I understand what happens when you have drugs coming into the community. I had it across the street from my house in Centennial. I even made a run for city council because we had a crack dealer who was living in the rental property. One house, dealing drugs out of that house, had decimated what was happening in that community, so much so that we had domestic violence calls coming in. The police were warning little kids that they had to get into the basement. How do you explain to a family with 4 little girls they have to hide in their basement because the police are going to do a call over a domestic violence act and they're concerned about gunshots coming in? This is what you're inviting into this community. It's not right, ladies and gentlemen. I'm going to ask you to be worthy of the trust that this community has presented to you in your electorate position, and do the right thing by them.
Thank you. Number 22. Oh, 25. I think you might be next. Let's go.
All right. We're going to change gears a little bit. My name is Justin Brown, 8662 Ewell Street. That's in Arvada, in Leiden Rock. So I'm here to represent the equestrians, trail runners, hikers, and mountain bikers of the Leiden Trail Collective. We submit our proposal to the city of Arvada for review. And we ask the city council to direct further collaborative planning, cooperation, and building of a combined effort overseen by Arvada Parks between the Leiden Trail Collective, the Leiden Rock Metro District, and Community Equestrian. We ask this because over 500 households have signed our petition, because over 17 local businesses and counting have signed their support, because 2 Arvada high schools need more trail access for their mountain biking and cross-country running teams, because we, these citizens of Arvada who have signed on, have failed despite our support, our numerous presentations, and our best effort to get any effective collaboration with the Arvada Parks Advisory Committee and the Leiden Rock Metro District. We are more than ready to work with everyone. We just need a table set and a forum to come together as a community and actually define and build the Arvada Master Plan vision for trails in that area. We cannot, at this point, do that without the City Council directing park support and research for all parties to work as a team. We need to preserve our historical equestrian corridors. We need to do that in a time when we have an excited community who is prepared to support positive City Council decision in making of trails, both Metro Districts and grassroots efforts, a reality. So what is our plan? Broadly, after city approval, we would plan to ensure equitable access for all user groups in the wildland-urban interface around Leiden Rock, Leiden Ranch, and Patridge Open Space by building 17.5 miles of trails to be funded by a combination of grant, private equity, and corporate donation, with the collaboration and support by a myriad of local nonprofit organizations. We will do this in a way that maximizes the defined Arvada Master Plan, Map 14, pages 80 through 91. So, we ask, will the City Council support trails close to home and local businesses? Will the City Council direct Arvada park support for research for our local high school teams to practice in Arvada instead of Golden? And, will we set that table for all parties to come together as a community so we can collaborate, plan, and generate funding? So do we do this together for Arvada or not? Thank you.
Thank you very much. I appreciate your comments. Also, very apropos that you wore dark green tonight. Number 26.
Hello, good evening. My name is Karen Hirsch. I live at 9352 Blue Mountain Drive in Golden. And I am here tonight to speak in support of the Leiden Loops Trail project from the perspective of the equestrian community. I've been an equestrian in the Arvada area for over 25 years. I currently run a grassroots equine advocacy group called Community Equestrian. This group formed nearly 2 years ago in response to increasing challenges confronting the equine community in Arvada and surrounding areas. As development expanded, we have experienced a deterioration of our network. Arvada has deep farm and agricultural roots. The country living character of Arvada is why so many people have chosen to live here. And the access to recreation is also a big deal. And Arvada has been booming. With this growth, our trail systems have grown fragmented by roads and developments, and access and egress to our trails has deteriorated for equestrians. Historic trails like the Ralston Creek and Van Bibber trails have been used by equestrians for generations. The white top posts that mark equestrian routes are still there, but you don't see as many equestrians on them as there used to be, mainly because they can't get to them. Back when this was a farming community, the trails in this area were all equestrian. Now they are multi-user. With the influx of population, our trails are now predominantly pedestrian and bike trails. But equestrians are still prevalent here. Data shows that we have over 20,000 horses in Jefferson County, just Jefferson County alone. Arvada is the most horse-centric city in the metropolitan area of Jefferson County. Back when this was a farming, Patridge Park is one of the few remaining trails in Arvada that has accommodations for trailer parking right across from the Leiden Loops, Leiden Rock subdivision. This makes the trails in this area very, very important to equestrians. The Leiden Loops Trail is presented in 3 phases. The phase 1 presents an opportunity for access for trails in Barber Gulch. Phase 2 presents the potential for connectivity across Indiana Street. And phase 3 presents the opportunity to connect to trails south that include the Ralston Creek Trail and Table Mountain. As a mom of 2 girls who are also equestrians, they are now grown but attended Ralston Valley High School and Westwoods Elementary. I have real concerns about our kids living in this area. A trail system like this would serve the kids living in these neighborhoods more than anyone. It would provide them a safer way to navigate their world. The equestrian community would benefit, but so would all the other users.
Karen, quickly, your time has expired, so I'm going to give you a few seconds to wrap up your thoughts.
Oh, sure. Sorry, I wasn't keeping track of the time. That's really all I had to say. So we fully support the trail system that's being proposed at Leiden Rock. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Before I invite up the next group, I also just want to go ahead and close since we have a little bit of a topic break here. Was there anyone who wanted to speak on the impoundment ordinance? Okay, thank you. Seeing none for the record. All right, I will go and invite up 27 through 30. There's anyone holding those numbers still with us this evening? Okay, seeing none, how about 31 through 35? All right, please come on up.
I'm 31.
All right.
Okay. My name is Alexis Papadakis Greenberg, and I live at 9941 West 71st Avenue. I am a taxpayer, and I am also a top realtor in the state of Colorado. I am here tonight to talk about the proposed navigation center in the Arlington Meadows community, which is also part of my district, District 24. When we started this process 6 months ago, we asked the City Council whether a navigation center was coming to Arvada, and we were told there were no plans for a center, yet here we are. I started thinking, why this community? So many questions, such as why would the City Council buy a building if they didn't know what it was going to be used for? This is just complete incompetence. I did some research to look at what happens to property values near homeless shelters, also known as navigation centers. What I learned is that the immediate homes surrounding the navigation centers lose 10 to 12% of their property values immediately. In Denver, homes have lost up to 20%. But what is most shocking thing that I found is the most impacted areas are the homes that are 10 to 20 blocks away from a navigation center. These homes are mostly affected due to vandalism, crime, loitering, and additional drug use that comes with the element that comes with a shelter that closes during the day. The homeless are free to roam during the day, and they will go into any neighborhood in the surrounding areas. This navigation center will destroy property values in all of Arvada, further reducing property taxes paid and causing yet an additional burden to the current existing city programs. Lower property values equal lower taxes collected. My ask of the City Council tonight is to release all the financials that were reviewed and voted on to purchase this property for $6.3 million. We'd like to see the appraisal and how this school value increased over any other property in Arvada from last year. And more importantly, we would like to hear from the City Council on why the City of Arvada has decided to go into the real estate business. This is not the proper role of government. Land banking in this economy and locking up $6.3 million in funds sounds insane to a real estate professional like myself. I would ask that the City Council reconsider destroying the property values of these amazing homeowners of the Arlington Meadows area. If you haven't visited the Arlington Meadows community, take a drive. It is a beautiful, beautiful neighborhood. Thank you.
Thank you. Come on up.
Good evening. My name is Julian Pecci. I live at 6231 Wolf Street, Arvada, right next to Tennyson Knowles Park, so around the corner from that proposed navigation center. I really just wanted to come tonight to express my support for this navigation center in its initial, proposed stage. I acknowledge that it's still premature. It has not been a fully fleshed out proposal, but I'm open to it. I think that everybody deserves shelter, especially in our rather harsh winters here. I think it's important to express compassion for these folks, even if it's at risk of property values that, it's important, of course, for us to protect our assets, but at the end of the day, it's a shelter. We have a choice to make these assets instead of shelters. Homeless people do not. They just need the shelter. I'm hopeful that instead of keeping our same out of sight, out of mind attitude towards homeless people, that this proposed navigation center can help to convert them into productive members of our community and eventually neighbors that we enjoy to spend time with. Of course, with me and my family, we do have concerns. We have concerns about the ideas for the design and implementation, who might manage the navigation center, and what the plans are for potential overflow. We've heard tonight from similar people with concerns of overflow, as we do already have some transient folks who occupy Tennyson Knowles Park. But I don't think that means we can't address that. In conclusion, I think it's important to note that homelessness, in my opinion, is not a problem but a symptom of several problems. I think they're outlined pretty clearly on your own website. I'd encourage anyone to check it out if they haven't already. And those problems are real, but I don't know that villainizing homelessness addresses those problems. Thank you for your time, and also I would be willing to join a steering committee if you're in need. Thank you.
All right, that's 2. Thank you. We got 4? Okay, 4. All right. Brett.
Good evening. My name is Brett Vernon. I live at 17802 West 83rd Place in Arvada. I'm a board member for the Leiden Rock Metropolitan District, but I am not speaking on behalf of the board. We haven't had a chance to discuss this. The Trails Coalition is planning trails in Barber Gulch and throughout Leiden Rock. The Leiden Rock Metropolitan District is planning trails in Barber Gulch. We see these trails as being complementary, not in competition. We think they would be open to all in both manners. And I'm not personally against mountain bike trails in Barber Gulch. As a matter of fact, I would consider funding or recommending to my district that we fund a portion of those trails. But as a metropolitan district, we can't be responsible for them. We can't help plan them. We can't fund or maintain these trails. We simply don't have the capacity to do so. It's just too far outside our mandate. This is a good exercise and activity for the city. It's a terrible use of metropolitan district assets. We've got a staff of 1 1/4 people. That's it. They are completely tied up in operations. They don't have time to be planning mountain bike trails. And frankly, the directors on the board don't have time to be working on these. We don't have the ability to close trails. The collective is proposing natural surface trails. We don't have the ability to police those, close those. They do. They'll do a fine job with it. They'll use volunteers. But the Metro District can't be responsible for something like that. It's outside our scope. We don't have the ability to maintain trails. They're going to do that all with volunteers. And frankly, the whole project is just way too complex for a metropolitan district overseen by residents to try and plan and build something like this. They can do a great job with it, and they'll do a great job working with the city with it, but we should not be involved. Happy to help. We can engineer connections. We can engineer intersections. That's easy. We'll work with them on that. We've been trading emails for the last 2 or 3 days on that. But so they need to be separate proposals. Leiden Rock's proposal, collective's proposal, and we'll make them work together. We just can't be responsible for them. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Vernon. All right, do I have anyone here from 34 through 38? Please come on up.
My name is Ron Hill. I live at 8704 Yucca Street. I've been an active resident of Leiden Rock for 8 years. I've literally been to more board meetings than some of the current board members at Leiden Rock. I'd like to relay to you tonight why the Leiden Rock Board's claims of embracing community input for trails is misleading. The board got a $4.7 million capital budget windfall 3 years ago from board refinancing. Under the advice of their consultants, the board initiated meetings to get citizen input. At these meetings, the local neighborhood asked the board to not build anything in the Yule Yucca green space. Yule Yucca is a strip of undeveloped grassland under Xcel power lines. It's joined by 26 homeowners who each paid a special $5,000 to $10,000 fee to have this undeveloped grassland behind our homes. In response, the board rep threatened to use eminent domain to build there anyway. The board consultants also conducted a survey on Nextdoor. It's critically important to note that this survey was biased because residents were told not to consider location. Had location and preservation of wildlife habitat been factors, no doubt the survey results could be quite different. Soon after, the board sent out an email telling us, neighbors, that we should prepare to be impacted. Emails. The board also asked the neighborhood to communicate clearly and effectively and share their thoughts with the board, so communicate we did. The neighborhood presented a petition asking for no development in the Yule Yucca green space. The petition contained 61 signatures representing 85% of the adjoining neighborhood homeowners. One of these meetings ended abruptly when the presiding board officer reacted angrily to the information he was hearing. It's no exaggeration to say he threw a temper tantrum. That same board officer sent out an email advising other board members to not meet with us neighbors. We neighbors requested additional meetings to talk and to walk alternative trail routes, but we were denied in multiple emails. Similarly, the board has not acted in good faith to work collaboratively with the Leyden Trails Collective. In conclusion, let me say that the board currently has a plan to construct a trail through the Yule Yucca green space. This is not wanted by the neighborhood. The trail is even dangerous. It intersects with Leyden Rock Drive at a blind downhill curve where drivers can be blinded by the setting sun and where cars speeding 60 and 70 miles per hour is not uncommon. Someone is likely to be killed. I've been shouted at multiple times in public meetings, not only by the board president, but also by the wife of a board director. I've received ugly emails from board members.
Sir, quickly, apologies. Your time has expired. I'll give you a few seconds to wrap your thoughts.
And even get ugly comments from board members and their friends walking on the sidewalk. I will likely be subjected to more of this abuse because of my appearance here tonight. I urge the city, through its zoning process and in the interest of safety, to reject the Leyden Rock Board plans for the Yule Yucca green space.
Okay, sir.
And
sir, your time is over. I'm so sorry.
And to embrace and support the Leyden Rock Trails Collective Plan.
Thank you very much. All right. If you have signed up for public comment this evening and have not yet gone ahead and gone, go ahead and raise your hands. All right. Why don't you folks just form a line and we'll get you guys going through here. Ma'am, why don't you please come on up?
Good evening. My name is Amy Slosser. I have lived in the Tennyson Parks HOA for 13 years. I grew up in Colorado native. 92nd and Lowell's where I grew up, is Westminster. I stand before you today with a deep sense of urgency and concern for the future of my community and for the future of my family and my household. As a mother and an advocate for the homeless, I'm well aware of the complexities surrounding this issue. However, placing a homeless navigation center in the heart of a neighborhood, one that so many of us have worked tirelessly to build into a safe and supportive environment, carries consequences that extend beyond the surface. Our primary concern is safety, not just for ourselves, but our children. While I wholeheartedly believe that every human being deserves dignity and respect, the reality is that homeless navigation centers often bring unintended risks. A University of California, Berkeley study revealed that areas surrounding such shelters experience up to 56% increase in property crimes. This includes theft, trespassing, and in some cases, violent crime. While not all homeless individuals are involved in these activities, the challenges they face, such as untreated mental illness and substance abuse, require intensive and specialized care that our community is not equipped to provide in a residential setting. As a mother, I cannot emphasize enough how deeply this worries me. How can we in good conscience allow the potential for crime to increase so dramatically when our children play just steps away from these proposed sites? This is not just a matter of convenience or preference. This is about preserving the safety and the innocence of our youth in our community. Beyond safety, the financial implications of this decision are overwhelming. According to a study of the University of Denver, property values within a mile of a homeless shelter decreased by an average of 12%. For many of us, our homes represent our life savings and our stability and our children's future. This decline in property value directly affects our ability to provide for our families and maintain financial security for myself. The city of Arvada has already made significant investments in affordable housing, infrastructure, and public services as shown in the 2023 Consolidated Annual Performance Report. While these investments are necessary and commendable, the financial strain of adding a homeless navigation center is unsustainable. Running such a facility requires costly resources, security, emergency resources, and healthcare. Denver spends an estimated of $50,000 per individual that comes through their system to support them. Can our city's budget, which is already stretched to cover the other essentials service, to take on this additional burden without sacrificing the quality of life of all residents surrounding? This is not a question of whether we should keep our homeless population. Of course we should take care of them. But placing such a center in the middle of a residential neighborhood is a disservice to both the homeless and the residents.
Ma'am, quickly, your time has expired, but I'll give you a few seconds to wrap
We
your
need
thoughts.
solutions that address the root cause of homelessness in mental health care, affordable housing, and addiction recovery. And placing someone who needs those in the middle of a residential area is not suitable. I ask the council members to rethink, because I feel as all council members have already made a decision, and that is what concerns me most. A decision has been made by many of the people sitting up here, and it needs to be reconsidered. Thank you.
Thank you for your time. All right, come on up.
My name is Troy Gregorio. I live at 6357 Wolf Street in Arvada, Colorado, 80003, a mere 3 blocks from the proposed navigation center. This building was already purchased, seemingly for this purpose and use, without involving the community through proper and thoughtful engagement. As Arlington Meadows community members have stated, the property values of this community will fall sharply. Property taxes for this and surrounding communities will fall sharply as a result. In addition, the reduction of these funding avenues, there are many additional unseen costs of this proposal. Without proper oversight, the negative impact of half-baked plan will be borne by the Arlington Meadows community. This council takes a very loud and obtrusive stance when selecting the farthest east corner of our city to offload those currently experiencing houselessness in a shelter. The optics of this seem very similar to telling the red-headed stepchild to stand in the corner. Resources could be better used to support and provide access to existing services. But no. If we do move forward with this proposal, we must support it with more affordable, subsidized, respectful housing in Arvada to prevent the revolving door of temporary living situations. We must focus on efforts in navigating the jobless to find jobs and subsidize education opportunities. We must lift up these and empower these citizens. This location will need trained and certified support personnel to assist this portion of our transient population with addiction treatments, counseling, and therapy if we wish to make this impact we intend and not fall flat on our intentions and promises that this proposition aims for. If that sounds expensive, it is. It's very expensive. As the first in-person speaker said, Arvada needs to pull our weight. We need to be better. We need to do better. If we intend to actually make a difference for a houseless population, we need to invest deeply but smartly. Therefore, I support the development of a navigational center, not just a shelter. We must make an impact. Let's be an example of how to do it right. Let's prove that we can and not that we tried. And I volunteer for a steering committee. Thank you.
Thank you very much. All right, come on up.
How's it going? My name is Jerome Ortega. I live at 64th and Sheridan. I was not planning to speak tonight, but unfortunately, members of the council have forced my hand. So first and foremost, I would like to say, Councilmember Davis, while I applaud you for your stance and that you have come out and said, I voted for something that I did not know what I was voting for, as a citizen, that's flabbergasting. I would like to thank and I'd like to say thank you to all the community members that came out here to show support. So see, my mom is right. Things change when you have a child. You realize that the community is an extension of your family, and they shape and help raise your kids. My roots have been planted in Arvada from the time I was born. As I grew, so did the city. I watched farmlands, open spaces turn to housing developments, apartment complexes, and shopping centers. Like many of my neighbors, we watched silently as Arlington Meadows was forgotten. We watched as money was poured into other communities while our needs were neglected and our voices were ignored. My wife and I both grew up in this community, and we chose to come back. We chose to plant our roots in Arlington Meadows. We chose to stay here in Arvada. This is a community of hardworking individuals that historically did not complain. We keep our heads down and we keep working. This is my home, this is my community, and these are my neighbors. Unlike you, I've been listening to them. Unlike you, I am not paid to represent them. And unlike you, I am not failing them. I am forced to do your jobs because you have forgotten or choose not to listen to the screams of your community. So, unfortunately, what you lack is that our community has other needs you fail to address. This community is needing help with childcare. This community is needing help with elder care. This community, along with the rest of Arvada, has many other needs. And yet you sit here before us saying you're going to educate us on what you plan to do. This is not about listening. This is about telling us and brainwashing us and trying to get us to see your side. That's why I'm making a statement today. And so unfortunately, see, our community has many other needs. As people mentioned before, childcare desert, Arvada, Adams County. You want to talk about workforce, you want to talk about housing, you want to talk about homelessness. Childcare is a part of your bold initiative. Yet, we're not educating on that. Yet, we're not thinking about repurposing a school that is already zoned, already used for that. Instead, we're talking about pouring in millions for something that a community does not need, and you are not listening.
Thank you. Come on up.
My name is Tom Olschner. I live at 9904 West 85th Way. I want to thank the city council members for your service to our community. I want to thank all the members from the neighborhood in Arlington Meadows for expressing your opinions and needs. And I want to applaud the city council for facing these issues of homelessness head-on, for developing the draft homelessness action strategy, and for purchasing this property in the hopes of addressing the needs of our housing insecure neighbors. I'm a psychologist. My wife and I have lived in Arvada for 30 years, raising our 3 sons here. In those years, I volunteered with 7 nonprofit organizations dedicated to serving the unhoused in our community. I'm speaking as a member of our faith community, which is dedicated to providing help to our neighbors in need. Jesus called his followers to help the poor amongst us, to feed the hungry, to heal the sick, and to give shelter to the homeless. Mahatma Gandhi said, "The true measure of any society can be found in how it treats its most vulnerable members." One of my roles as a volunteer at Mission Arvada is to interview clients who are enrolling in the Metro Denver Homeless Initiative's One Home program for affordable housing. My heart broke as I heard the story of one of our clients, whom I'll call Mary. She was living in her car with her 7-year-old daughter since she had lost her job in their apartment. Her life quickly spiraled downward as she struggled to find a place to park for the night, to get her daughter fed and dressed and then to school on time each morning. She had no income and used up her savings. Mission Arvada served as a navigation center for her, helping her in a number of ways: a hot breakfast and lunch, a place to shower and get laundry done, assistance in applying for jobs, and assistance in applying for affordable housing. She expressed that perhaps the greatest assistance that she received was the encouragement that she was not alone and that there truly was hope for her getting back to a stable life again. I believe that none of our neighbors deserves to face the challenges of homelessness alone. I believe that we as a city can come together to ensure that each person facing housing insecurity has access to the assistance that will help them on their path to a place to live and a way of making their own contribution to our community. Thank you.
Thank you. Next up, sir.
My name is Justin Lang. I live at 4730 West 63rd Avenue. So I'm in the Arlington Meadows neighborhood. You guys have failed us. You are not listening to us. You even told us to shut up at our last town hall meeting. We should have ended this whole charade then and there. We had, 350 people that showed up to tell you that you are all making a mistake. I've made a lot of mistakes in my life, but I have never had hundreds of people warn me beforehand. So let's get out in front of it. Let's stop. Let's pivot. Let's make this a beneficial thing to not only Arlington Meadows, but Arvada in general. I'd love to see this property, you guys already bought it. I would love to see this property be used for a library. As Jerome said, Arvada is a childcare desert. I spend $2,000 a month to send my daughter to daycare. That's not sustainable. Keep the people who are the economy workers, the people who are employed. I mean, we're considering my wife quitting her job to just support our daughter. Those are the problems. Mayor Johnson has spent, I just looked it up while I was sitting in the stands, $150 million on homelessness in Denver. Go walk down there. It's not working. Just throwing money at facilities and programs for homeless people, it doesn't work. Honestly, the best solution actually was brought up by Councilwoman Davis. Shut the lights off. Why would you just attract more and more people that is just more of a burden on the people who are already in this city? I just want to be on record to say that I'm against this, and there's no real evidence that this navigation center is going to work, nor is it going to be safe. And it sounds like a lawsuit, to be honest with you. All I'm hearing is a lot of numbers. Oh, property value is going down 12%. You get hundreds of people who are homeowners in the neighborhood, that can cost the city a lot of money. Just saying.
Thank you. All right. Ma'am, come on up.
Before I begin, I just want to let you know I did sign up to comment on Zoom for 5 minutes, but because there was such an overwhelming number of people, they gave me a number to now testify. So I just want to let you know that I did originally have 5 minutes.
Okay, well, actually, ma'am, we will be allowing 5 minutes at the end after all of the others. So if you would like to save your time for that, you may do so.
Great, I will.
Okay, great. Is there anyone else who would like to give public comment at this time for the 3-minute time limit? Seeing none, yes, please. Can I talk if I didn't sign up? Yes, you may. Come on up. So same process for the record, just your full name and address.
Thank you, and thank you for letting me speak. I, too, didn't sign up, but as I sit here, I'm impelled to speak. My name is Renee Martinez. I live at 6265 Xavier Court in Arlington Meadows. I raised 3 children in that home that I live in Arlington Meadows. My kids have all went to Arvada high schools, and I now have 6 grandchildren who spend time at my home. I am one who cares very deeply for individuality and for circumstance. I have given to many homeless individuals. I have volunteered at the Colorado Coalition for the Homeless. And what scares me about the Navigation Center in our neighborhood is what I see as I volunteer my time at a navigation or homeless shelter. It scares me to know that my grandchildren can't play outside without fear of what they could find with many of the issues that we've talked about today. I just want to, as our last spoke said, put it on record, that I care deeply for the homeless and I want to help. I just don't think the answer is a navigation center in our community. As I've lived there for 35 years and raised my children, to many of the comments, we have grown to be a beautiful, very supportive neighborhood, and I'd hate to see our neighbors move out because of the homeless shelter or the navigation center being built there. I'd hate to lose my neighbors, and I think that the comment about taking the money and putting it into other resources is a great idea. I would love a police station or some type of police help in our neighborhood, because I have seen and literally witnessed my neighbor whose father was dying, called for help. She experienced the back and forth with, is it Arvada? Is it Adams? That was disheartening and scary for me. I had an individual fall who had a little too much to drink. He was laying on our sidewalk bleeding, called for help, couldn't get help because there was no resources. So I would advocate for some support for our city with police help. So thank you.
Thank you very much. Is there anyone else who would like to give public comment at this time? All right, seeing none, I will close the public comment portion of this evening's agenda, and I will move us into the consent agenda. So, Councilmember Marriott has requested that R24-097 be removed from the consent agenda, and so I will move that to the end of the consent agenda for an independent discussion. So the consent agenda this evening consists of 3 items. Those are R24-096, a resolution authorizing amendment number 1 to an agreement by and between the City of Arvada and Archer Western Construction, LLC, for construction services related to the Arvada Blund Reservoir Hydraulic Actuator Replacement Project number 24-WA-30 for the addition of Part 2 services, thereby increasing the contract amount from $25,104,000 to an amount not to exceed $958,339. R24-098, a resolution authorizing a third change order to a CM/GC agreement between the City of Arvada and Saunders Construction Pre-Construction and Construction Services for the Myers Pool Replacement Project in an amount not to exceed $733,454, thereby increasing the total contract amount to an amount not to exceed $40,659,782.84. And finally, R24-099, a resolution accepting a quitclaim deed from the Double E Ranch Creekside HOA, conveying a parcel of land described as Tract A, Double E Ranch Subdivision, City of Arvada, Jefferson County, State of Colorado. All council members will cast their votes on the consent agenda. Oh, actually, we do. We need a motion to accept the consent agenda. Yep. Councilmember Ferre.
Okay, which number was
It is
Councilmember Marriott?
97 is removed.
97, okay, here. I move that R24-096, R24-098, and R24-099 be approved.
Okay, thank you. Councilor, cast your votes. All right, all votes are cast. That passes 6-0. Thank you very much. Now we will open up for previously included on the consent agenda item R24-097, a resolution approving a lease agreement by and between the City of Arvada and the Arvada Community Food Bank, Inc., doing business as the Community Table for property located at the 4600 West 60th Avenue, Arvada, Colorado. Councilmember Marriott.
Yeah, I have a question for the city team on this one. So my understanding is that the Community Table currently occupies and leases from the city a city-owned property, and this new property they will be also leasing from the city. And as I went over the lease, you know, there's some kind of regular terms. Their lease payment is $100 a year, so certainly a good deal for them. But the thing I was surprised at is that Arvada, the city, will pay for some utilities, the water and sewer and solid waste utilities, as well as then snow and ice removal, landscape maintenance, pesticide, fertilizing, aerating, kind of all that kind of stuff. And my question is, how do we determine that we as the landlord are going to take on those responsibilities and not others, or not take on those responsibilities? What was the thinking behind the negotiations on this lease?
Thank you, Councilmember Marriott. I'll go ahead and start, and then I know I have a team behind me that can answer in more detail if needed. This is very similar to the lease that we have had approved with the community table for years past as the property owner, and with several leases with other nonprofits that we have similar to leasing facilities that the city owns. The city maintains the facility as its own, including what you had just mentioned. So it's, again, it's very similar to the past lease that has been approved with the community table in years past.
Okay. Do we do the same with other people we cooperate with in the city? I'm thinking about Apex Parks and Rec. I know they use some city facilities. Do we treat them similarly, or do we treat them different, or is it a facility by facility decision? How does that go?
I can't speak to exactly the agreements with Apex, but happy to follow up with you to answer those questions, or if anyone on the team has details about that, I can let you know that as well.
Okay. Yeah, that's fine. Thank you. I appreciate it. Thanks for answering the questions.
Sure. If there are no further questions, I will accept a motion. Councilmember Foray.
All right, I move that R 24-097 be approved.
All right. Councilmember Marriott?
Yes, thank you. Just want to make a comment before I vote. So maybe this is an opportunity for larger discussion that's maybe more long-term for the city council and city team to consider. As I look at this potential lease, I look at a bunch of things from broad down to specific. And starting with broad, the Arvada city government is for the first time in more difficult budget conditions than they have been over the last decade or more. For the first time here, our tax collections will increase, but at a rate less than inflation. We're going to feel inflation, however, in everything that we do, including wages, which is probably our single largest expenditure. So that makes me a little leery of this type of an expenditure. The other thing I'll note is the community table is quite a successful nonprofit. They very successful fundraising a number of different ways. And while they put that to good use, it's not like they don't have any resources or any abilities. And then the third thing that I'll note is this is a brand new facility for the city of Arvada that's located on 60th Avenue. The city didn't have this. It was bought purposefully for the community table. And so it's another additional expense onto a city budget and onto city taxpayers that wasn't there before. I look very favorably at the community table and have no grudge towards them at all in them or their operations. However, I don't see where the city taxpayers of Arvada should be issuing this type of a subsidy to the community table, and uniquely the community table. This wasn't a facility that the city just happened to own and exist like the facility they're in now, that was just repurposed and put to use. This is really the city purchasing a facility directly for them. And I would much prefer to see in a lease like this terms that are much more along the lines of what you would expect in a normal commercial lease. And I can understand somewhat of a favorable lease treatment, but 15,000 square feet, in this type of location is, that's in a normal commercial lease would be about a $15,000 to $20,000 a month lease payment. And I certainly wouldn't saddle the community table with that. But when they're only paying $100 a year and then paying little to no expenses on the building, I just don't see that as equitable for Arvada residents. And so for that reason, I'll be voting no on this lease.
Councilmember Pfeiffer.
Yeah, I just need to correct some facts from Mr. Marriott. There are several nonprofits that are within city buildings that we do that arrangement with. Peach Jam's one. The Chamber of Commerce was another. HODA was another. I can keep listing them. Ralston House is another. And we have exact same arrangements, if not to a T. And I believe a big chunk of the Arvada Center is the same way. And with the Apex, it's a little bit different because in that agreement, we actually ask them to maintain while they operate it. It's a little bit different. And I think, for the most part, I think we do some groundskeeping on some of the buildings, if I remember right. So I don't think your facts are quite true. And we didn't buy it purposely just for them. We actually needed them to move so we can acquire their space for other city use. And we were going to buy a building for other city expansion uses anyways. It just happened to work out for us, for them to move there. So let's be very clear that we didn't buy it just for them. We bought it for us. It just happens to fit them better, and we can reuse their existing facility for other city services. So, I absolutely support this. This is exactly what we should be doing. And we should be supporting those that support our community. And the food bank and the community services that they provide have spot on, and they have been like that for decades and decades and decades. And so therefore, I will absolutely support what we're doing there and make sure that the facts were clear that we're not treating them special to any other nonprofit or for-profit organizations, actually.
All right, with that, all votes have been cast. That passes 5-1, with Councilmember Marriott being a dissenting vote and Councilmember Ambrose being an excused absence. All right, thank you very much. We have 3 resolutions this evening. I will open it up for R24-100, a resolution authorizing an easement agreement by and between the City of Arvada and Canyon Pines Metropolitan District for access to the Canyon Pines Pump Station. I believe our presenter is Mary Stahl, our engineering manager.
Good evening, Mayor. Jacqueline Rhodes, Director of Public Works. I'll be covering for Ms. Stahl this evening. So this easement agreement by and between the City of Arvada and Canyon Pines Metropolitan District establishes a necessary access to our newly constructed Canyon Pines Pump Station. On November 16, 2021, the City of Arvada and Canyon Pines Metropolitan District entered into an intergovernmental agreement for the financing and construction of the Canyon Pines Pump Station. This pump station was constructed solely to provide water to the Canyon Pines development. It's located on land owned by CPMD and will be operated in perpetuity by the City of Arvada. The IGA requires that CPMD grant Arvada a permanent easement or dedicate public right-of-way to ensure access to the pump station for its maintenance and operations. This easement agreement fulfills the requirements of the IGA. The Arvada team recommends that City Council approve R24-100, a resolution authorizing an easement agreement by and between the City of Arvada and Canyon Pines Metropolitan District for access to the Canyon Pines Pump Station.
Thank you very much. Mayor Pro Tem Mormon.
I would like to make a motion unless there's other questions from the council.
I see no other lights. Please move forward.
I move that R24-100, a resolution authorizing an easement agreement by and between the City of Arvada and the Canyon Pines Metropolitan District for access to the Canyon Pines Pump Station, be approved.
Thank you. Councilmember Pfeiffer. Thank you. All right, all votes are cast. That passes 6-0, with Councilmember Ambrose being an excused absence. Next, I will open R24-101, a resolution authorizing an intergovernmental agreement by and between Apex Park and Recreation District, Jefferson County School District R-1, and the City of Arvada for the operation and capital maintenance of the Arvada Aquatics Center. Mr. Archer, I believe you have this item.
Thank you, Mayor. Brian Archer, Finance Director. This intergovernmental agreement by and between Apex Park and Rec District, Jefferson County School District, and the City of Arvada clearly identifies the operating and maintenance requirements of the new Arvada Aquatics Center, also called AC, and fulfills the requirements of the 2021 IGA between said parties. The term of the IGA is 25 years, expiring in 2046. The Arvada Aquatics Center is set to open on November 5th, 2024. Comprehensive operating, maintenance, system training, and warranty manuals will be submitted by the general contractor in the closeout phase of the project and will become an addendum to this IGA. This IGA will also be considered by Apex Park and Rec Districts Board and Jefferson County School District Board later this month. The Arvada team recommends that the City Council approve R24-101, a resolution authorizing an intergovernmental agreement by and between Apex Park and Rec District, Jefferson County School District R1, and the City of Arvada for the operation and capital maintenance of the Arvada Aquatic Center.
Thank you. Councilmember Davis, do you have a question about the AC?
I do not. I would like to make a motion unless there's questions.
I see no other lights.
I move that R24-101, a resolution authorizing an intergovernmental agreement by and between Apex Park and Recreation District, Jefferson County School District R-1, JCSD, and the City of Arvada for the operation and capital maintenance of the Arvada Aquatic Center, aka AC, be approved.
Thank you. All votes have been cast. That passes 6-0 with Councilmember Ambrose being an excused absence. And for those in the audience who don't understand the excessive giggles up here, we had lengthy discussions about acronyms and we landed on the AC. Go figure. So with that, I will open R24-102, a resolution authorizing an easement agreement by and between Jefferson County School District R-1, JCSD, the City of Arvada for construction, maintenance, and operation of a parking lot for the Arvada Aquatic Center, AC, on JCSD's Warder Elementary School property. Mr. Archer, you also have this item.
Thank you, Mayor. In accordance with the 2021 IGA with Jefferson County School District R1, Jefferson County School District agreed to enter into this easement agreement to allow the City of Arvada and Apex to use property owned by Jefferson County School District to build a temporary parking lot and then ultimately a permanent parking lot. The new parking lot will add 51 spaces to meet the number of parking spaces required by our building code, making the total 293 spaces, including ADA accessible parking. The lot will be shared by the new Arvada Aquatic Center and Jefferson County School District's Warder Elementary. Arvada agrees that Warder Elementary may use the newly constructed parking for school drop-offs, school pickups, and overflow parking for events. The Arvada team recommends that the City Council approve R24-102, a resolution authorizing an easement agreement by and between Jefferson County School District R1 and the City of Arvada for construction, maintenance, and operation of a parking lot for the new Arvada Aquatic Center, and on Jefferson County School District's Warder Elementary School property.
Thank you very much. Councilmember Ferre.
I'll move.
All right, I see no other lights.
I move that R24-102, a resolution authorizing an easement agreement by and between the Jefferson County School District R1 and the City of Arvada for construction, maintenance, and operation of a parking lot for the Arvada Aquatic Center on JCSD Warder Elementary School property be approved.
All right. Councilmember Fiber, thank you. And before I show the votes, I will just say that school drop-offs for all of our schools just about in the area can be quite difficult, so I know this will probably provide a lot of relief for parents at that elementary school. So with that, that passes 6-0 with Councilmember Ambrose being a excused absence. Mayor Pro Tem Mormon, you have first reading this evening.
Thank you, Mayor. I move that CB 24-013, an ordinance amending various sections of Chapter 102, Utilities of the Arvada City Code pertaining to water user rates and bi-monthly service charges, and CB 24-014, an ordinance amending Section 102-206 of Chapter 102, Utilities of the Arvada City Code pertaining to wastewater user rates and bi-monthly service charges, and Section 102-355 of Chapter 102, Utilities of the Arvada City Code pertaining to stormwater user rates, and CB 24-015, an ordinance appropriating funds for fiscal year 2025, and CB 24-016, an ordinance certifying the City of Arvada mill levy for 2024 for the Board of County Commissioners for Jefferson Adams County, be approved on first reading, order published in full, and a public hearing date set for October 21st, 2024.
All right, if all of council will cast their votes. All right, that passes 6-0 with Councilmember Ambrose being an excused absence. Thank you so much. Since we have already completed this evening's hearings, I will now open the second public comment portion of this evening's. This is our 5-minute limit. Ma'am, who came up before in the lovely green, I will invite you to come back.
We are neighbors, Lauren.
Oh, I know.
Okay. This was just coincidence that I have this color on tonight.
Name and address for the public record, please.
My name is Dr. Barbara Dre, and I live at 6486 Ammon Street. I have been a resident in Arvada for over 10 years. Wow, as a mother and an educational leader for almost 30 years, and one who served homeless families, as well as family members and friends who have experienced being unhoused, I'm deeply saddened by some of the comments tonight and by some of the resistance for us to come to a solution here around getting a navigation center and more support for our homeless population. First, just like many of the community members who spoke tonight, I have deep concern about the rise of homelessness population and the inhumane treatment we've witnessed in Denver proper, such as putting up boulders in areas where homeless could have camped, putting up fences around large parks. These are really unprecedented times for our homeless population. We've not seen numbers like this ever. The pandemic crushed us economically, and it is our duty to look for solutions. This problem is not going to go away by pushing people further to the margins and pushing people out of our communities. The truth is, there's data to show that Arvada has a huge homeless problem of people from Arvada. And I'm going to share some of that data with you in a minute. But I want to let you know that in 2022, I actually approached then Council Member Simpson regarding the homeless crisis, because I was very concerned, especially when they shut down the library due to methamphetamine contamination and what was happening with our homeless. It didn't seem like there was a productive action. So I was comforted when she let me know that there was already a committee and that folks were working with Jeffco County at large for solutions. And they were looking at a few different navigation centers. And since then, the city of Arvada, as well as some concerned citizens, have been working with Heading Home Jeffco for several years to include city council members and concerned citizens, This group has conducted studies, gathered data, and completed what Mr. Marriott refers to as market research to examine what works and what doesn't to solve the issue of homelessness in the Denver metro area. They've done their due diligence by looking at various available properties across Arvada, focusing on necessary aspects of being near reliable transit, zoning issues, economic viability, as well as considering the community, not being smack dab in a community, but that early college is not even a block off of Sheridan, which is a major thoroughfare. There's a lot of commercial district around there. But before I go any further, I do want to talk a little bit about root causes, because I did some homework. And some of the things that have been going around are just absolutely false. The main reason for homelessness is transitional, which means there are people who have experienced catastrophic events in their life, such as loss of job, loss of homes because they couldn't pay their mortgages, reduction in pay. I mean, we're talking about average everyday citizens who have lost their homes, have children. Did you know that women with children are the most likely to become homeless? It's not drunk men creating crime. What the heck? We need to grow up and educate ourselves about what the crisis is. Do you know that people who are chronically homeless only are 17% of the homeless population? 17%, people. Look at your data, okay? And if we can solve the transitional homeless and episodic homeless issue, which a navigation center research has shown does do, then we will prevent chronic homelessness. And you know what's on the rise? our youth under the age of 24, hidden homeless, they're couch surfing because they can't get jobs, they can't get paid. Because why? Because we refuse to have a national minimum wage that's livable. So yeah, we do need to work on this issue, and we also need to better educate ourselves. I could go on, I'll send you my comments, but I just want to thank the council members who have been highly engaged in this topic and have done their due diligence and homework. And I'd like some people to stop kicking the can and waiting, because it's only going to mushroom. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else here who would like to speak at the 5-minute public comment? All right, welcome back.
You need me to reintroduce myself?
Yes, just for the public record.
Okay. Jerome Ortega, live off of 64th and Sheridan. So, as I said originally, I wasn't planning on speaking, but here I am again. So, Arvada is a childcare desert. You want to talk about root cause, you want to talk about addressing issues. Let's talk about workforce. You heard from an individual saying his wife is having to leave the workforce, making the tough decision as to whether it's my career, whether it's a part of engaging in our economy, or do I stay at home with my kids? My wife and I are having to make the tough decision of, can we even afford to have more kids? Those are conversations that we have to have, because childcare is not sustainable. Childcare is not affordable. Childcare is not reliable. My wife and I, when we were pregnant, we waited until our baby was born, thinking that we had enough time with about 6 months of FMLA. We said, you know what, I think that's enough time. Child care wait lists are over a year to get a spot. Not to mention the fact that you have these wait lists, but then you have down payments, deposits to hold your spot. So as a struggling family already, we have to shell out $200 down payment for the first month. It's like another mortgage. It's like rent. And yet we're not addressing that. It is your bold initiative, and yet here we have a facility that can help that. You want to say that you want to spend $100 for leases. Well, Aspen does something amazing. They have a community-owned building, and what they do is they have partnerships with other community care centers, community caregivers. And what they do is they allow those community centers, those community caregivers, to use that space rent-free, or for $100 a year. I'm sure they can have that, right? This is the problem. You're taking away from the workforce. You're making individuals, you're making your constituents make tough choices. My wife and I, unfortunately, had to bring our baby here, and we had to spend time here. We didn't get to put our baby to sleep. As y'all know, this is an issue. This is an issue that plagues Adams County. This is an issue that plagues Arvada. You want a regional problem? This is a regional problem. You want regional money? This is a regional problem. Now, is it as grand? Is there enough economic flow like homelessness? No. But this is a problem that your constituents are facing, and yet you are failing to address it. You are failing to hear it. The Chamber of Commerce has it in their bold initiatives. The state of Colorado has labeled this an issue. And if we keep kicking the can down the road, we're never going to solve this. This is not even on the agenda. And yet you asked us to come here with alternative proposals for this, and we came here with them. You asked us to voice our concerns. You said, hey, what can you bring? What can this facility be? What does this community need? And we're here. And yet the response is, well, we'll have smaller meetings to educate you on what this facility can be. We can educate you on what we're going to do, on how this is going to be. We'll provide security on our premises. Well, what about when they go across the street? These are all issues that you want to educate us on, but I'm trying to educate you that our future is being divested. We are not investing in our kids anymore. We are not investing in our children. Preventing homelessness starts at the babies. It starts at getting these individuals, as one of my constituents or one of my fellow community members said, we have a very low number of educational level, our education level in our area is lower than others. You know how to fix that? Let's get an early child care center in there. Let's prop up our community. Let's allow our kids. I was one of those kids that didn't like to read in school because I didn't know how to read very well. But you know what? I forced myself to do it. And if I had education and I had funding and I had the ability, the opportunity that every other kid has, I don't know if I would have still been afraid. But you know what? I'm fighting for those kids. I'm fighting for those mothers. I'm fighting for those dads that are making those tough decisions. And you know what? Somebody has to. And I implore you to fight for those families that are making the tough decisions. Invest in our future.
Thank you very much. Would anybody else like to present public comment at this time? Ms. Rush, are there any on Zoom? All right, seeing none, I will close public comment for the evening. We have already done council committee reports and comments from council. Ms. Haley, any reports from you?
Thank you, Your Honor. Just a reminder that next Monday, the 14th, we have a workshop. We have two topics, one to discuss bond project updates, and the second one will be on the 2025 proposed pay plan.
All right, thank you. Ms. Morris?
Nothing from me, Your Honor.
All right, Mr. Pfeiffer, I see a light.
Yeah, can we just wrap up from tonight?
All right, I'll let you go ahead.
Do you mind? Comment just made on the gentleman just spoke. You know, when one of our council members say that she wasn't fully educated, but yet you tell us that you're not willing to listen to the education we're willing to offer everyone, it's kind of talking out of both sides. So I would, the way I look at tonight is we need to baseline the education part. It's not brainwashing. I would like to hear some education. I think there should be some more on this topic. We, as City Council, don't just sit up here and just make a decision without being somewhat educated. I mean, at some levels. And if we're not educated enough, we need to seek more so that we're making the right decisions. And by my proposal of regrounding and discussing it and having an opportunity for us all to learn what the community needs and wants, it is up to us to help guide those conversations. But it really boils down to getting a group of people together in a room and talking around a table. You know, I was part of the group that changed the name of the food bank to the community table and call it a table because people solve things at a table. You have dinner at a table. You have discussions at a table. And that's what we need tonight. And this is what we're going to need moving forward on this topic because over 54% of our city has said we need to address the homeless. We need to do something. We're trying to do everything we can. We have supported Family Tree and their building affordable housing. We've looked at affordable housing here and for seniors, and we've done everything we can, but it's not getting to the strategic point. I will also clearly point out in 2021, March 7th, we unanimously voted, including Mr. Marriott, for a navigation center up here in the northern part in agreement with Jefferson County. Jefferson County was going to put two navigation centers, one south, one north, and Mayor Williams at the time said we will take on the one up in the north. And it was at 51st and Marshall. We've talked about it for years and years and years and years. Unfortunately, that is not happening soon enough when people are saying we got to address it. Well, we're already 2 years into that one, and we still haven't addressed anything. So it's not like this is a new conversation. It's just we have new people at the table talking to us about it. This is a community-wide issue. From east to west and north to south. They're homeless all over the city. It's not just in Old Town. It's not just on the west side or east side, or the west side or up north. It is a community regional issue. Even if Arvada tried to solve it, it's not going to solve it completely. We all know that. It's a big issue. But what we can do, and this is what I think people are forgetting here, is we can shape what this looks like. And I think we have an opportunity to shape. And it could be, when you say family services, that's actually what I said earlier. I think we've all said we need family services up here. We don't disagree with you at all. But that's what it could turn into. If somebody doesn't have affordable child daycare, that could drive them to become homeless or unhoused. $2,000 is a month. That's a lot. $3,000 is a month. That's a lot, right? That could drive you to lose your house. So maybe that's the answer. But we won't know that until we're all together at a table and have that conversation of what this could look like. There's some, the first thing I would ask is we define what a navigation center is, because I think we all use it loosely and we don't really know what it is. We should define what a shelter is versus a navigation, and that should be the first thing we all get in agreement on. And when we go there, we move forward, because the navigation center you might think, or she might think, or I might think, are all different. I guarantee you we'll walk out of here with 10 different ways of thinking what a navigation center is.
Councilmember Pfeiffer, I will note navigation centers come in many, many different models.
Yeah,
So
absolutely, absolutely. So I just think that's why I kind of think we need to all be together in a room and figure this out. So anyways, I won't keep going on, but I just wanted to point out that exactly what I think Jerome's your name, right, just pointed out, is exactly what we're trying to talk about, actually. It's not us against you or anything like that. We need to get people in a room to figure this out. We can't just sit here and just turn our face. It's growing every day. I work for CDOT. I clear them off the highway all day long. They're everywhere. And they're destroying all sorts of things. And I get it. I totally get it. But ignoring it is not the answer either. So we've got to figure out what to do. And I'm not looking for, like I said earlier, I'm not looking for somewhere or some people where it's a shelter where this criminal element and so forth. I'm more looking for the story we heard about the single mom and trying to get her daughter to school. Those are the folks I'm more worried about than anything else. I'd rather spend more money on the people that are actually trying to be productive citizens and productive lives that are on that verge of losing it. And if it's childcare that makes them lose their house, yeah, we got to address that. Maybe that's an answer. But if we're not at the table, it's a little sad that out of, 25, 30 people, we got 4 that would volunteer for our committee out of here. But that's 4 that we didn't have earlier. So more to come. I would like to just think, to wrap it up, I'm going to get off my horse here. To wrap it up, I think we need to kind of think about what are we doing next? Because I think that's one of the things that Councilmember Foray is we can't just leave it dangling out there. But maybe what we can do is maybe as a council ask the team maybe to provide some thoughts in the next couple weeks of what timing could look like and what this could look like. I don't know. And then maybe we can publicize that and maybe update our website a little bit differently to try to advocate for an advisory committee to come and advise us on this, because we do have the 51st Marshal. I don't think that fell through and then whatever. I don't know what that is, but in general, we've made a regional commitment to do a navigation center in my eyes.
So
I don't know where or what, but
now we shape it.
we need to figure that out.
All
So I'll end there.
Thank you, Councilmember Pfeiffer. Councilmember Davis, you had your light on?
Yes, thank you. Thank you, Councilmember Pfeiffer. I am buoyed by the fact that we asked for alternatives and for ideas for this for the building, for the early college building. We asked you for ideas, and you gave us some. And I just wanted to read through what I heard. A rec center, a police substation, child care services to include early childhood development, an educational facility, a space for NGOs for wraparound services, a safe space for teens, co-op workspaces so somebody could come and work and also have childcare, and a small library, all of which I think are great alternatives for the ECA, and that's how I wrote it down. I did not call it a navigation center. And I'd also like to thank you, Councilmember Pfeiffer, for the context of when the city agreed with Jeffco to put in a navigation center, because I was
Approved resolution that night.
I was unaware.
Yeah.
That was in 21. I didn't
22.
come on to council until 23. That kind of background would have been helpful. But just listening to what the desires are and these really thoughtful alternatives, I'm listening, we're all listening, and I think this is a workable part of the solution. So thank you to all of you, because I know people are still watching, for your input and your engagement, and definitely just your passion for your neighborhood is incredible.
Yeah.
Mayor Pro Tem Mormon.
Thank you, and I'll try to be brief. I appreciate the comments made by my fellow council members, and I think, you know, this is a challenging issue for our community. Obviously, we're not alone. Other communities are facing this challenging issue, and it's a huge problem, and we're not going to solve all of the pieces to this problem. And I think, you know, when we talk about this building in particular and a navigation center, we could call it a family resource center. I mean, there's many other things that we could call it. You know, it could very well be a place that meets some of the needs we heard tonight. And so that's kind of where I'm looking and how I'm thinking about this. We talk about daycare, we talk about family resources that, you know, in my district, in District 1, I know we have 100 families right now that are going to be evicted from their apartment. And so my concern is, what resources can we provide that are easily accessible so that they don't become homeless? And so that's where I'm thinking, and so I think that there is great opportunity to meet the needs of this neighborhood, but also to meet the needs of Arvada as a whole. And I'm excited about the conversation. It's a hard conversation. We don't have all the answers, and this conversation we're having tonight is helping us get closer to trying to figure out what those answers and solutions are. So I think it's going to be a process, and it's going to be messy. But that's how we get solutions that are actually sustainable and workable for our community. And so that's what I'm dedicated to. And so I'm actually more energized tonight from the conversation than I did coming. And so I'm very hopeful, and I think that we've got a lot of work to do. There's no denying that, but I think we can do it, and we need to be intentional, and we need to take the time to do it.
Well said. You know, there's an expression that we've all heard in school about how you don't want to see how the sausage is made. Well, welcome to the sausage factory, you guys. You're in it now. We're happy to have you here with us. Let's do it. All right. With that, meeting adjourned.